Chapter 1192. City Lord. When Deacon Li saw the person, he hurriedly greeted him. Ning Cheng also understood. No wonder he had such strength. This person should be the City Lord of the Heavenly Union Star City, Isa. He had heard from Shijupan that Isa's cultivation level had even reached the half-step integration realm. It seemed that Shijupan was right. This person's cultivation level was definitely not weaker than Yin Xingwen's. When Go Wansheng saw the person, the disdain on his face faded a lot. He casually cupped his fists and said, "City Lord Yi, you're back. It's been a long time." "I wouldn't dare." Isa replied politely and then continued, "These are all important guests of the Heavenly Union planet. Taoist Go is an ancient emperor. Why bother with a few newcomers? Taoist Go, please don't care about this for my sake. I will definitely reward you handsomely." Isa saw that Ning Cheng's cultivation level was only at the early stage primordial chaos. Even if the woman's cultivation level was slightly higher, she was at most at the half-step Dao integration realm. Plus, he sensed that Ning Cheng and the others were very young, so he simply described them as newcomers. Go Wansheng suddenly raised his head and laughed as if he had heard something ridiculous. Isa frowned slightly. To be honest, even though he was not confident that he could suppress Go Wansheng, he was not afraid of him. Go Wansheng laughed wildly and did not take him seriously at all. Just as Isa was about to get angry, Go Wansheng's laughter suddenly stopped. "City Lord Isa, I won't make a scene for your sake. That's because we know each other. How dare you bully me by saying that I'm blind? Do you think I'm easy to bully?" Isa did not get angry immediately. Instead, he said in a deep voice, "Why do you say that, Taoist Go? Isa doesn't think he can deceive anyone." Go Wansheng sneered and pointed at the old man. "This person is called Jiang Zhong, nicknamed Emperor Pingding. Before I died, he fought with me for a Khanate Dharma treasure. If I hadn't had a chance to reincarnate and be reborn, I would have turned into nothingness long ago. You actually said that a guy who fought with me for a Khanate Dharma treasure is a newcomer. Aren't you trying to bully me by saying that I'm blind?" Isa opened his mouth wide. He had not expected that there would be an old fellow from the same generation as Isa. Plus, he had heard of Emperor Pingding. Just when he didn't know how to deal with it, Go Wansheng pointed to Ning Cheng and sneered at Isa. "I don't know this person's name, but I know that Jiang Zhong calls him senior. He, a fellow who can make a zombie call senior, yet City Lord Yi calls him a newcomer. Isn't that bullying? Could it be that I, Go Wansheng, am not eloquent enough to eat all the souls on the Heavenly Union planet?" Isa only received the news that two geniuses had reached the 10th floor of the Heavenly Union's Dao Pagoda. He had no idea about the matter between the old fogey and Ning Cheng. Now that Go Wansheng had asked him, he was speechless. Even Deacon Li, who stood next to him, did not know what to say. He did not know that Ning Cheng and that old fogey had such a terrifying background. Seeing that Isa was rendered speechless by his words, Go Wansheng snorted coldly and raised his hand to grab Chinyu again. "Although this pink soul isn't very useful, it tastes good. Let me try it first." When Ning Cheng saw Go Wansheng attacking Chinyu, his eyes lit up with murderous intent. He immediately wanted to fight back, but Isa, who was closer to Go Wansheng, raised his hand and blasted out a Dao charm to block. Isa's Dao charm power and Go Wansheng's Dao charm power collided and instantly shattered the table. The powerful shockwave spread out, and the surrounding cultivators quickly dispersed. Lu Qingtan's drunken state had long since disappeared. He quickly took his junior sister Chinyu and retreated more than 10 steps to the corner. If City Lord Isa hadn't stopped him, his junior sister would have died. "Isa, what do you mean by this?" The Dao runes in Go Wansheng's body surged instantly. At that moment, everything around him turned into dust. This space had become his world. At this moment, he was truly angry. He had indeed coveted Chinyu's soul just now. However, the reason why he attacked Chinyu was to see Ning Cheng's strength. He guessed that if he attacked Chinyu, Ning Cheng would most likely stop him. That way, he would know the strength of the senior that the old fogey had sought refuge with. The violent Dao charm recoil force took a while for Isa to recover. He was extremely horrified. He knew that even if Go Wanqing had not reached Dao integration, he would not be weaker than him. Now that they were fighting, he realized that Go Wanqing was not weaker than him. He might even be slightly stronger than him. He had not used all his strength, and Go Wanqing had probably used even less strength. A half-step Dao integration Holy Emperor might actually be a little stronger than a perfected Dao integration Holy Emperor like him. He thought about his illustrious reputation on the Heavenly Union planet and how countless people trembled in fear when they heard his name. At this moment, Esau's heart was filled with confusion. Was all his glory fake? Or was it because he had not met a true expert? Esau's gaze swept across Ning Cheng and the others, and a trace of struggle flashed in his eyes. He was not afraid of Go Wanqing, but he was the city lord of the Heavenly Union planet. Go Wanqing was just a wandering ghost, and it would be difficult for him to keep him. Would it be wise to offend such a person for the sake of two unfamiliar cultivators who had set foot on the 10th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda? Ning Cheng raised his hand to stop Esau from continuing to plead for them. He patted the old fart on the shoulder and said to Go Wanqing, "Old fart is my little brother. If you have any problems, come at me. Today, this old chi body will be protected. Whatever methods you have, just use them." After saying that, Ning Cheng felt a little strange. It was just like when he had seen a boss take out a cigarette and calmly light it up in a movie called Young and Dangerous. Then, he pretended that it did not matter even if the sky fell and said, "XXX is my little brother." Ning Cheng was a primordial chaos holy emperor, yet he had lost his face like this. Thinking of this, the corners of Ning Cheng's mouth unconsciously curled into a smile. Go Wanqing guessed what his little brother meant, but he did not know what Ning Cheng meant. When he saw the smile on Ning Cheng's face, the Dao runes around him surged out and he raised his hand to throw a punch. "In that case, let me see how strong you are." This punch was completely different from the one he had used against Esau before. It was just a casual punch, and neither he nor Esau had used their full strength. With this punch, Go Wanqing's violent and majestic pressure of heaven and earth manifested itself in this punch. The explosive Dao rune aura blasted out at this moment. Under the influence of the Dao runes of this punch, the Heavenly Alliance Stars restaurant, which was wrapped in layers of protective restrictions, did not even last for a moment before completely shattering and collapsing. The customers rushed out of the restaurant one after another. The weaker cultivators, who were slightly slower, also suffered serious injuries from the Dao rune aura that spread out. Ning Cheng felt the laws of heaven and earth condense. Go Wanqing's punch seemed to have swept over the laws of the entire Heavenly Alliance star. The Dao runes of these laws attached to his fist, bringing with them a destructive aura. Ning Cheng thought to himself that the spirit abilities in the world were indeed different. His law-breaking spirit ability broke the laws of heaven and earth and enhanced the power of his attack. Go Wanqing's punch was the opposite of his law-breaking spirit ability. This punch condensed the spirit ability and also made its power stronger. Facing this punch, the old fogey did not dare to resist it and quickly flew out. Zhantai Yi formed an invisible Dao rune defense around her and flew out of the restaurant at the same time. Although she wanted to use Ning Cheng's genius insights to join forces to climb the Dao Pagoda, she knew that she was not Go Wanqing's opponent. Esau and Deacon Li sighed. Facing the power of this punch, they could only retreat for the time being. As for Lu Chengtan, he had already left with his junior sister Qinyu. Only Ning Cheng couldn't escape because Go Wanqing's punch was aimed at him. The endless laws of heaven and earth swept over and condensed on Go Wanqing's Dao rune spirit ability, growing stronger and stronger. If it were a cultivator with a weaker mind, they would not even have the ability to resist at this time and would have been blasted to the ground by this terrifying law pressure. The condensed terrifying law pressure made Ning Cheng's clothes flutter, but it couldn't tear even a corner of Ning Cheng's clothes. Ning Cheng, who was in the center of this punch's spirit ability vortex, did not retreat. Instead, he punched out. Law-breaking spirit ability. Frozen space. The law pressure Ning Cheng experienced on the 13th floor of the Heavenly Alliance's Dao Pagoda was no weaker than the laws gathered by Go Wanqing's punch. Although Ning Cheng had used the mysterious yellow formless to grind away the laws and then channeled the Dao rune laws into the mysterious yellow bead, It didn't mean that Ning Cheng would be helpless without using this move. But it didn't mean that Ning Cheng would be helpless if he didn't use this move. His law-breaking spirit technique had reached large success, and he could still shatter that terrifying law pressure. Gotcha! A shattering sound rang out. Ning Cheng's law-breaking spirit ability not only weakened Go Wansheng's heaven and earth laws, but it also shattered Go Wansheng's endless and powerful law power with a single punch. The heaven and earth laws shattered and roared in the air. Feeling the Dao rune laws he blasted out weaken and then shatter, Go Wansheng was shocked. He had rich combat experience. At this moment, he knew that he was not Ning Cheng's opponent. Not only was he not Ning Cheng's opponent, but his spirit ability also happened to be suppressed by Ning Cheng. No wonder Zombie Zhong Zun called him senior. This young man in front of him was definitely the reincarnation of a powerful expert. If Zombie Zhong hadn't called Ning Cheng senior, Go Wansheng might have brought out his weapon and continued to attack. But now, he didn't even have the mood to check the battle situation. With a tearing Dao rune, he was about to break through the Heavenly Alliance planet's star-protecting Grand Array and escape. He didn't want to face a powerful reincarnated expert. At the same time, an extremely cold law power bound him. At this moment, Go Wansheng felt as if he had fallen into an ice-sealed space. Feeling the threat of death, how could Go Wansheng not know that this was the frozen space spirit ability? At this moment, he even regretted not bringing out his own escape method immediately. At this time, why would Go Wansheng care about a precious escape talisman? His whole body turned into a blood shadow, and he activated an escape talisman. At the same time, Ning Cheng's next punch arrived. Gotcha! Another crisp shattering sound rang out. This time, Go Wansheng tore apart Ning Cheng's frozen space. Almost at the same moment Go Wansheng escaped, Ning Cheng's fist-wind Dao rune power reached Go Wansheng's back. Go Wansheng spat out a mouthful of blood and disappeared without a trace with the blood arrow. Chapter 1193. The exchange between Ning Cheng and Go Wansheng only lasted for a blink of an eye. Therefore, all the powerhouses present could clearly see what happened in that blink of an eye. The old man was even more shocked. This senior was just as ferocious as before. A few divine powers and one punch had forced Go Wansheng, who was at the half-step Dao integration realm, to flee. If Go Wansheng had been a little slower, he might have lost his life there. The experts who saw it clearly looked at Ning Cheng with a hint of awe in their eyes. Was this strength a primordial chaos holy emperor? The Heavenly Alliance star restaurant had already turned into rubble. Esau only recovered his wits in shock now. It was ridiculous that he still wanted to protect Ning Cheng and the others. Ning Cheng's strength was not any weaker than Esau's. In fact, he was even stronger. Esau was already numb to the fact that a chaotic essence holy emperor was more powerful than a Dao integration stage holy emperor. He quickly walked up to Ning Cheng and cupped his fists before speaking. Heaven Alliance's Star City Master Esau greets this Dao friend. Just a moment ago, Esau overestimated his own capabilities. I hope this Dao friend can forgive me. Ning Cheng smiled and cupped his fists before speaking. City Master E is too polite. I was just lucky. The surrounding people all pursed their lips. With luck, he could blow away Go Wansheng with one punch? In fact, what Ning Cheng said was not wrong, he really did rely on luck. If based on cultivation alone, Ning Cheng believed that he could eat up Go Wansheng. However, it was not enough to seriously injure Go Wansheng and force him to flee with one punch. Most importantly, Go Wansheng and he did not use any Dharma treasures. Moreover, Go Wansheng's first punch was a fist Dao divine power that swept through the heaven-earth law. His law destruction divine art happened to suppress Go Wansheng's divine art. In addition, Go Wansheng's first move had been suppressed by him, and Go Wansheng was afraid of him, a reincarnated almighty being. Go Wansheng was eager to escape, but he was unwilling to waste a top-notch escape talisman, so he fell into his icebound space. What happened next was simple. Go Wansheng used an escape talisman to escape in the frozen space, but he was still a little slow and was injured by his punch. In the distance, Zhan Taiyi's eyes lit up when she saw Ning Cheng blow away Go Wansheng with a single punch. Ning Cheng was the second powerhouse she had met who could easily defeat an opponent of a higher realm. No matter what, she had to make friends with such a person. Senior, if it weren't for Senior's help just now. The old man ran over with a smile. Ning Cheng did not wait for him to finish as he patted his shoulder and spoke, "Don't talk too much nonsense, I have something to ask you." At this time, Ning Cheng naturally understood that this old fogey wanted to use him to deal with Zhu Wanqing. Regardless of whether the old fart had bad intentions or not, this fellow was still using him, so he naturally wouldn't be polite to the old fart. Hearing this old fart address Ning Cheng as senior, Isa was at a loss for words. He wanted to invite Ning Cheng to the city master's mansion, but he was a city master. Moreover, his cultivation was also far higher than Ning Cheng's. Calling Ning Cheng as a senior was really. Ning Cheng, who noticed Isa's awkwardness, said with cupped fists, "City Lord you can just call me Ning Cheng. I would like to ask how to get to the beyond of heaven and earth." Before Isa could answer, Zhanta, who walked over, said, "I know the way because I came from heaven's beyond." At this time, Isa also took the opportunity to say, "Now that the restaurant has been destroyed, why don't the few of you come to my city lord's mansion for a while and let Isa do his part as a host? Although it's a little far from the heavenly union planet to the beyond of heaven and earth, there are many ways to go." In addition to going to the heavens beyond of heaven and earth, Ning Cheng also considered which of the 5 grand realms was closer. If the 5 grand realms were close to him, then he would want to go back first. Not to mention that the Grand Essence Realm's Dao Court army had started to attack the Grand Essence Demon Vein under his Dao Lord's command. He also didn't feel at ease with Shi Qianghua in the Grand Change Realm. Previously, he did not have the strength to go over. Now, he believed that even the Tai Yin Xingwen would not be able to pose a threat to him. As for the Grand Essence Dao Court's army attacking the Grand Essence Demon Vein, Ning Cheng wasn't worried at all. The Grand Essence Dao Court had so many experts. If they couldn't deal with the Grand Essence Demon Vein, then they would be too weak. Clearly, the Heavenly Union Planet's City Lord was most familiar with the route out of the Heavenly Union Planet. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng cupped his fists and spoke, "Then I will have to trouble City Master Yi." After that, he cupped his fists and thanked Zhanta. Isa felt overjoyed when he heard that Ning Cheng was willing to go to the City Lord's mansion. He quickly cupped his fists towards Zhanta and asked, "You must be a Dao friend who climbed the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda. If you don't mind, please come to my Heavenly Union City Lord's mansion." Zhanta showed a slight smile. "Many thanks, City Master. My name is Zhanta, and I was lucky enough to set foot on the 10th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda." Zhanta accepting the invitation was within Ning Cheng's expectations. Even if Isa didn't invite Zhanta would have taken the initiative to enter the City Lord's mansion with him in order to cooperate with him. The Heavenly Union Planet had many experts, and the Heavenly Union restaurant's Heavenly Union Star Do also had first-class prices. However, the Heavenly Union Star City's City Lord's mansion looked very ordinary. Apart from the decent defensive array formations, everything else looked no different from an ordinary cave mansion. The only thing that stood out was the huge divine herb garden outside the City Lord's mansion, which had all kinds of rare divine grasses growing lush. Rather than a City Lord's mansion, it looked more like an ordinary cultivator's cave mansion. Seemingly seeing Ning Cheng's doubts, Isa smiled and said, "I rarely invite guests to the City Lord's mansion. Even if I have something to do, it would be outside the City Lord's mansion." The implication was that inviting Ning Cheng and the others to the City Lord's mansion was a very rare thing. Under Isa's lead, the few people passed through the divine herb garden and a lotus pond before entering a simple living room. After everyone sat down, Isa took out a few pots of wine and brought them to everyone. The wine that Isa brought out was naturally the Heavenly Union Star Do that Ning Cheng and the others didn't enjoy in the restaurant. "This wine is good." The old man's eyes immediately lit up when he saw the Heavenly Union Star Do. He grabbed the wine pot and drank it in one gulp. Although the old man addressed Ning Cheng as senior, Isa and Li Kuanghe didn't feel surprised by the old man's actions after knowing his identity. After Isa brought the wine to everyone, he stood up and cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng. "If it weren't for Dao friend Ning's help today, I'm afraid my heavenly Union Star City would have lost more than just a restaurant. Ningqing smiled slightly. City Lord, you're too polite. In fact, even if I didn't make a move, Go Wanxing wouldn't have been able to do anything to City Lord. Isa froze. What did Ningqing mean? Although he and Go Wanha had only clashed once before, he was clearly at a slight disadvantage. Ningqing was a bystander, and his strength wasn't any worse than Isa's. Just when he was about to continue explaining, Isa suddenly smiled. He understood Ningqing's words, and his previous depressed mood disappeared in an instant. The confidence of a perfected Dao integration expert returned to him. Ningqing was right. He had accidentally fallen into Go Wanxing's trap. Many thanks for Brother Ning's reminder. Otherwise, Isa would still be in the dark. Isa thanked Ningqing in a refreshed manner and changed the way he addressed him from Dao friend Ning to Brother Ning. Go Wanxing had suddenly attacked Qinyu, and he had been standing a step behind Go Wanxing. In other words, even if he attacked later, Go Wanxing would still have the upper hand. In addition, he was very afraid of Go Wanxing and had a shadow in his heart. Even so, he and Go Wanxing were almost evenly matched. Even if he was slightly inferior, it was reasonable. From this, it could be seen that he didn't need to be afraid of Go Wanxing at all. He thought of how Go Wanxing had swaggered around him as soon as he had arrived. That kind of powerful aura told him that Go Wanxing had put pressure on him at that time. It had made him feel that he was no match for an ancient great emperor like Go Wanxing. Even if this kind of mentality was extremely subtle, it would be reflected in the battle. In a battle between experts, even the slightest bit could affect the Dao rune laws. In fact, he didn't need to have such fear at all. Even if Go Wanxing was an ancient sacred emperor, he hadn't succeeded in Dao integration after all. Ningqing saw through Isa's mood and said again, even if Go Wanxing reached Dao integration, Daoist Yi doesn't have to be afraid of him. After hearing Ningqing's words, Isa suddenly saw the light. He had been living cautiously because of that matter. Cultivating the Dao in the vast universe required one to cultivate an indomitable aura. The more cautious and careful he was, the more his strength would be suppressed. In the end, he was afraid of death. It wasn't that he was afraid of death, but he knew that he couldn't die and nothing could happen to him. After Ningqing advanced to primordial chaos, his Dao became clearer and clearer. Moreover, his returning to one Dao was on a far higher level than Isa's Dao. Because of this, he could see Isa's situation. Although Isa understood a lot after he enlightened him, he still hadn't completely let go. Therefore, he asked, City Lord Yi, is there something on your mind? Given City Lord Yi's realm, if you let go of your worries, it wouldn't be impossible for you to reach the third step. When Isa heard Ningqing's words, he suddenly stood up and bowed to Ningqing. Brother Ning, Isa has something to ask of you. I would like to delay you for some time. Ningqing didn't need to think about it to know that Isa's request was no trivial matter. He didn't wait for Isa to speak at all and said with some embarrassment, City Lord Yi, I have a lot of things to do recently. The reason why I came here is to ask City Lord Yi about a few locations. Ningqing suddenly paused. Because of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda, the Heavenly Union planet was a place where experts from various realms and planes gathered. It could be said that the complexity of the cultivators here was no less than that of Heavens Beyond, which was located at the intersection of several planes. If he wanted the 5 soils, could he also ask Isa? When Isa heard Ningqing's words, his face showed extreme disappointment. He really didn't want to wait any longer. If he waited any longer, he might feel guilty for the rest of his life and even live a life worse than death. What's more, if he continued like this, his Dao might regress instead of advancing. However, Ningqing had said that he had something to do, so he couldn't force Ningqing to help him. By the way, City Lord Yi, do you know anything about the chaotic 5 soils? Ningqing asked. Given his current strength, there was no need to hide it. When Isa heard Ningqing's words, he immediately said in a trembling voice, I know where the breath soil is. Ningqing looked at Isa in confusion. City Lord Yi, are you talking about the news of the breath soil in Heavens Beyond? Isa then understood why Ningqing wanted to go to Heavens Beyond. He quickly replied, It's not Heavens Beyond. Very few people know about the existence of the breath soil, but it already has an owner. Where is it? When Ning Cheng heard that it wasn't heavens beyond, he immediately stood up in surprise, his eyes filled with ecstasy. He didn't want just a little breath soil. He needed the breath soil to repair the great essence realm, and he also needed it to refine the divine spear. His divine spear was now ready, and he only lacked the breath soil. So what if it had an owner? As long as it was an item, it had value. As long as it had value, it could be exchanged. He didn't lack all kinds of treasures. The breath soil was precious, but his quintessential essence of the universe and chaos chi were not bad either. Even if he couldn't get it, he still had the Khanate dragon pearl. For the sake of the breath soil, he would go all out. Chapter 1194. Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Esau looked at Zhanti and hesitated for a moment before saying, "There is also a pagoda there. That pagoda is somewhat similar to the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. The pagoda has 9 floors, and the laws inside are extremely powerful. With my ability, I can only set foot on the 5th floor before being blasted away. The one controlling this pagoda is a Tao Integration Realm Holy Emperor. However, he hasn't completely refined this pagoda yet." Ning Cheng understood why Esau wanted to find someone who could set foot on the 9th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. It seemed that he wanted to go to this pagoda. Since he wanted to go to this pagoda, there must be a reason. Just now, when he heard about the live soil, his face lit up. Presumably, he guessed that the live soil might change his mind and help him. Ning Cheng sat down and calmed down a lot. City Lord E, is the live soil on this pagoda or on the person controlling it? If this pagoda had been refined by someone, no matter how conceited he was, he wouldn't be stupid enough to go to someone else's treasure. Esau suddenly clenched his fists, and the Tao runes and murderous aura around him kept fluctuating. Ning Cheng didn't care about Esau's actions. He knew that Esau wasn't targeting him. Sure enough, after a while, Esau's fluctuations slowly calmed down. He tried to keep his voice calm and said, "I originally had a Tao companion called Shu Rue." Speaking of his Tao companion, Esau's tone turned gentle. That day, Shu Rue advanced to primordial chaos. I was very happy and invited many friends to Heavenly Alliance planet to celebrate her advancement to primordial chaos. Di Wuxuan was among the people I invited. At that time, because I was happy, I drank some Heavenly Alliance Stardew and got a little drunk. After the celebration, those friends left one after another, but Di Wuxuan stayed behind. What I didn't expect was that Di Wuxuan would shamelessly make a move and restrain Shu Rue. Because I was a little drunk, I acted a little late and couldn't stop him. At this point, Esau's gentle tone became somewhat agitated and he clenched his fists once more. In order to find Shu Rue, I left the Heavenly Union planet. It was only because Brother Li Kuanghe was here all these years that the prestige of the Heavenly Union planet has not fallen. Li Kuanghe sighed but didn't speak. Esau continued, "In order to find Shu Rue, I roamed the void for countless years. Finally, I found some clues left behind by Shu Rue. Later, I followed these traces and found a very amazing magic treasure." After a slight pause, Esau looked at Ning Cheng expectantly and said, "This artifact is called the 9 Da Space Suppression Pagoda. It's a top-grade innate defensive artifact." Ning Cheng instantly understood what was going on. He had cultivated to the primordial chaos realm, so some things were naturally not unfamiliar to him. He had heard of the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda before. In terms of prestige, it was far above his everlasting Blue Thunder City. It was very difficult to refine this magic treasure. There were 9 layers in total, and it was said that it required the blood essence of a woman with naturally terminated meridians and the help of the living soil. Once refined, the woman would become an artifact spirit, and the soil of breath would strengthen the innate Tao law of the pagoda. Since Esau had spoken so much, how could Ning Cheng not understand what he meant? It was certain that Shu Rue was a woman with naturally terminated meridians. Moreover, that Di Wuxuan possessed the breath soil. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been qualified to refine the 9 Da Space Suppression Pagoda. A woman with naturally terminated meridians couldn't even survive, let alone cultivate. However, Esau was the Heavenly Union Star's city lord and had a perfected Dao integration cultivation. It shouldn't have been surprising for him to use a top-grade treasure to save Shu Rui. From this, one could see Di Wuxuan's cruelty. It wasn't easy for a woman with naturally terminated meridians to survive. Then he extracted her blood essence to refine the magic treasure and turned her into an artifact spirit. This was no different from Go Wansheng chewing on living souls. One could imagine how much torture Shu Rui had to endure during this process. As long as the 9 Da space suppression pagoda was not refined, Shu Rui's torture wouldn't end. Once the 9 Da space suppression pagoda was refined, Shu Rui would die and become an artifact spirit with no memories of her previous life. Naturally, she wouldn't be tortured anymore. Esau saw that Ning Qing understood the meaning of his words and bowed to the ground. Esau found the location of the 9 Da space suppression pagoda, but I couldn't enter the 7th floor to save my Dao companion, Shu Rui. I'm afraid that Go Wansheng has already refined it to the 9th floor. If I go any later, Shu Rui might not be able to be saved. I asked Brother Ning and Dao friend Tantai to help me set foot on the top floor of the 9 Da space suppression pagoda and save my poor Dao companion. Zhan Tai-yi didn't speak. It wasn't impossible to go to the 9 Da space suppression pagoda. But the 9 Da space suppression pagoda was a treasure that others were currently refining. Even if they couldn't refine it completely, they could at least control a part of it. Once it was completely refined, it would only mean death for outsiders like them to go in. Ning Cheng stood up without hesitation. Let's go. I'll accompany you. Not to mention the breath soil, even without the breath soil, he would still help Esau. If it was before, he wouldn't have the ability to do so without his cultivation. For the current him, this was something that was completely within his power. Zhan Tai-yi, on seeing that Ning Cheng wanted to go, also stood up and said, City Master Yi, since this person is so cruel, Zhan Tai-yi naturally won't refuse. I will also help you. Esau felt overjoyed. With his eyesight, how could he not see that Zhan Tai-yi wanted to go because Ning Cheng wanted to? But he still felt very grateful. Two powerhouses who reached the 10th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda were much better than one powerhouse who reached the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda. The old fart wanted to say goodbye, but Ning Cheng had said that he wanted to ask him something. Now that Ning Cheng hadn't asked him anything, he wanted to say goodbye. If he angered Ning Cheng, the senior, he would be finished. Thinking of this, he wiped the wine from the corner of his mouth. City Master Yi, this wine is good. After drinking your wine, I, Jiang Zhong, will also go and see who this Di Wuxuan is. Two powerhouses who reached the 10th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda, plus an ancient heavenly emperor like the old fart, made Esau feel even more surprised. With this group of people, if they still couldn't save Shu Rui from the 9 Da space suppression pagoda, it would mean that Shu Rui didn't have enough luck. Because of this, he didn't hide anything and said everything he could and couldn't say. Seeing Esau look at him, Ning Cheng understood that this was a request for his help. He stood up and said, Don't hesitate. Let's go now. After everyone left the Heavenly Union Star, Ning Cheng realized why Esau wasn't in the Heavenly Union Star. He had been constantly interfering with Di Wuxuan's refining of the 9 Da space suppression pagoda. If not for his interference over the years, perhaps Di Wuxuan would have already refined this innate defensive treasure. A month later, Esau brought Ning Cheng and the others to a hovering void maelstrom. Ning Cheng knew that this place most likely contained either bright void or dark void. Thinking of bright void and dark void, Ning Cheng immediately thought of the rogue cultivator Lanya who told him about it. He wondered how Lanya was doing now. This is a bright void maelstrom, and it doesn't look like there's anything inside. Few people would stay here for long. No one would know that there would be a treasure like the 9 Da space suppression pagoda inside. Esau pointed to the void maelstrom and spoke with a hateful voice. Ning Cheng nodded. City Master Yi, you take the lead. We'll follow behind. This void maelstrom wasn't too strong, and Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness could sweep inside. Okay. After Esau responded, he quickly rushed into the void maelstrom. Ning Cheng and the others also followed into the void maelstrom. The powerful tearing force of the maelstrom was nothing compared to the cultivation of Ning Cheng and the others. Following the force of the maelstrom, the group walked for a few hours before they appeared at the bottom of a dark valley. This valley was devoid of spiritual chi and filled with useless void meteorite debris. Yi-Sa quickly found one of the countless forks and entered it. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness directly broke through many of the natural restrictions, as well as some low-level interface obstructions, before falling onto a pitch-black tower. This tower exuded a vast aura, as if it came from ancient times. All kinds of Dao charms cascaded down from the top of the tower, circulating endlessly. Yi-Sa moved in the direction of this tower. Ning Cheng didn't even have to ask to know that this was the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda. After another 2 hours, Yi-Sa finally stopped. In front of him was the giant tower that Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness had seen before. The Dao charms cascaded down from the top of the tower like a curtain of pearls, with as many as 8 kinds. Yi-Sa's expression turned a little ugly. Brother Ning, Di Wuxuan has already refined to the 8th level. The reason why his expression turned ugly was that the refining of the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda was the most difficult, while the last level was the easiest. Yi-Sa hadn't finished his sentence when another Dao charm cascaded down from the top of the tower. Although the Dao charm was weak, it continued to grow stronger. He refined to the 9th level. The Dao charm around Yi-Sa suddenly turned a little chaotic. He took a few steps forward and wanted to rush into the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda. Li Kuanghe, who stood next to Yi-Sa, pulled him back. City Master, even if Di Wuxuan refined to the 9th level, it wouldn't take him a while to refine the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda. Since Brother Ning is here, we should listen to Brother Ning. Yi-Sa calmed down and knew that Li Kuanghe was right. If he had a way, he would have already entered the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda to rescue Shu Rui. Ning Cheng turned to the old fart and Zhang Di and said, "You two and Deacon Li stay outside the pagoda and wait for me. City Master Yi and I will go in and have a look." "Yes, Senior. I will definitely not leave. I will stay here and wait for you." The old fart didn't want to enter the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda at all. The 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda had already been refined to the 9th level. If he went in and ended up trapped inside, his countless years of hard work would have been in vain. Zhang Di also bowed and said, "I will listen to Brother Ning. I believe that Brother Ning can save senior apprentice Sister Shu Rui." Originally, Zhang Tai hesitated to enter the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda after seeing the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda refined to the 9th level. But now that Ning Cheng took the initiative to ask her to stay outside, she naturally wouldn't go in. She had also heard of the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda. It was a top-grade innate defensive weapon. The only drawback was that it was difficult to refine and recognize its owner. But once one started refining it, the refining time for each level would get shorter and shorter. Moreover, the more one refined this weapon, the easier it would become. Chapter 1195. As Ning Cheng spoke these few words, the 9th Dao charm hanging outside the 9 Dao Suppression Pagoda started to solidify, which meant that the 9 Dao Suppression Pagoda was about to be refined. Yi-Sa's eyes were red. Even though he was extremely anxious, he still resisted the urge to go in first. "Let's go." After Ning Cheng finished speaking, he turned around and rushed into the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda. Yi-Sa did not hesitate to follow behind Ning Cheng and rushed in. At this moment, not to mention the old geezer who was already in awe of Ning Cheng, even Zhang Tai couldn't help but marvel at Ning Cheng's decisiveness. Under such circumstances, if she was in his shoes, she would definitely not enter the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda. From this, it could be seen that although Ning Cheng had a powerful cultivation, he was also an extremely impulsive person. This kind of person might have a good opportunity, but in the end, his achievements would not be too high. Seeing Ning Cheng quickly walk towards the entrance to the 2nd floor of the 9 Dao Suppression Pagoda, Yi-Sa hesitated for a moment before speaking up. "Brother Ning, Yi-Sa feels very grateful to you. But I'm afraid it's too late now. You go out first, Shu Yu deserves this." Ning Cheng understood what Yi-Sa meant. Esau wanted to say that by the time they reached the 9th floor of the 9 space suppression pagoda, Shu Rui would have already lost all of her essence blood and turned into an artifact spirit. At that time, even if he wanted to come out, he wouldn't be able to. Brother E, since you're here, don't hesitate. This isn't the mentality a Tao integration holy emperor should have, Ning Cheng said as he entered the 2nd level. Esau thanked Ning Cheng in his heart for changing the way he addressed him to Brother E, which showed that Ning Cheng's view of him had fundamentally changed. At the same time, he also knew that Ning Cheng was right. For a powerhouse like him, since he had already decided on something, then the most taboo thing to do was to hesitate. Esau, in order to save his Tao companion Shu Rui, went all out, which gave Ning Cheng a good impression. Ning Cheng decided to make friends with Esau. The pressure on the 2nd floor of the 9-layered sky-suppressing pagoda suddenly increased, but it had almost no effect on Ning Cheng. The mysterious yellow formless Tao charm around Ning Cheng directly erased the law pressure. Ning Cheng didn't even bother to bring out his law-breaking spirit technique at this moment and climbed up to the 3rd floor. Esau was secretly shocked, but at the same time he rejoiced. Not to mention the difference in cultivation, Ning Cheng's performance in the 9 Tao suppressing sky pagoda was much stronger than him. Initially, he had to spend a lot of time to advance from the 2nd to the 3rd floor, while Ning Cheng almost did not encounter any obstacles. From the 3rd to the 4th floor, Ning Cheng still did not encounter any obstacles. Only after reaching the 5th floor did Ning Cheng unleash a law-breaking spirit technique. Seeing Ning Cheng's power, Esau's confidence soared. When he first entered the 5th floor, he had to put in a lot of effort. But now, Ning Cheng could enter the 5th floor with just a single spirit technique. Compared to him, it was much easier. Of course, he also knew that Di Wuxuan wanted to seize the time to refine the 9 Tao sky-suppressing pagoda and had no time to stop Ning Cheng. Even so, one could see that the unrefined 9 Tao space-suppressing pagoda posed almost no hindrance to Ning Cheng. It seemed that his choice to ascend to the 9th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao pagoda to help him was the right choice. However, because such experts were rare, he had never found one. Just as Esau thought about it, Ning Cheng had already rushed to the 6th floor. An extremely powerful pressure of the laws of heaven and earth came crashing down. If it weren't for him rushing to the 9th floor, Ning Cheng wouldn't have to use any means to face this kind of pressure. But this time, before Ning Cheng could use his law-breaking spirit technique, 5 colored thunder lights blasted down. These 5 thunder lights directly blocked Ning Cheng's path. Facing these 5 thunder lights, Ning Cheng had no other way but to retreat to the 5th floor. It's a thunder-attributed cultivator. Ning Cheng exclaimed but didn't retreat. Instead, he unleashed another law-breaking spirit technique. Esau, who was behind Ning Cheng, hurriedly said, "Brother Ning, Di Wuxuan isn't a thunder-attributed cultivator. These 5 colored thunder lights are his weapon spirit technique. He has a 5-essence thunder umbrella, which can unleash the 5-colored thunder light spirit technique. Let's retreat for now. Once we get swept by these 5-colored thunder lights, we will lose our spiritual consciousness for a short time." Esau, who had suffered a loss due to this weapon, hurriedly called out. Losing one's spiritual consciousness in other places wouldn't be a big deal, but this was the 9 Tao space-suppressing pagoda. Moreover, Di Wuxuan had already refined the first few floors of this pagoda. Ning Cheng showed a slight smile. Not only did he not retreat, but after his law-breaking spirit technique split open, his figure rushed into the 5-colored thunder lights. Esau, who originally wanted to retreat, saw Ning Cheng rush in. Therefore, he also rushed in without thinking about it. He couldn't let the person who came to help him take action while he himself retreated. Seeing Esau rush over despite knowing the power of the 5-essence thunder umbrella, Ning Cheng couldn't help but admire him in his heart. Esau didn't make a mistake in helping him. Only such a person deserved his help. Boom boom boom. The 5 thunder lights slammed into Ning Cheng's body and exploded into countless lightning arcs. But that was all. These lightning arcs only hit Ning Cheng for a moment before disappearing without a trace. In front of Esau's shocked eyes, Ning Cheng had already rushed to the 7th floor. The 9 Tao suppression pagoda, which was extremely terrifying to Esau, looked like a flat sunny road under Ning Cheng's feet. "Brother Ning," Esau called out in surprise. Ning Cheng could scare away Go Wanxing, which meant that he was powerful. He didn't expect Ning Cheng to be this powerful. On the 9th floor of the 9 Daos Suppression Pagoda, a man with a red face sat in the middle. A giant umbrella with flashing lightning floated above his head. He didn't care much about Ning Cheng rushing to the 5th floor or even the 6th floor of the 9 Daos Suppression Pagoda. Because he had mobilized the Dao charm power of the first few floors to refine the 9th floor, the law pressure on the first few floors of the 9 Daos Suppression Pagoda was much lower than the actual pressure on the 9th floor. After Ning Cheng rushed to the 6th floor, he brought out his weapon and shot 5 5-colored lightning arcs at Ning Cheng. In his opinion, these 5 5-colored lightning arcs would definitely sweep Ning Cheng and Esau back to the 5th floor. By the time the two rushed to the 6th floor again, his 9 Daos Suppression Pagoda would have almost finished refining it. If he hadn't finished refining it, he could just give them another try. But when he saw the 5 5-colored lightning arcs blasting Ning Cheng's body, not even lifting the corner of Ning Cheng's clothes, he suddenly stood up in shock. The Dao charm power he mobilized in the 9 Daos Suppression Pagoda was immediately restored by him, and the pressure in the pagoda increased by dozens of times in an instant. Ning Cheng's speed made him afraid. Even if he slowed down the refining of the 9 Daos Suppression Pagoda, he couldn't let Ning Cheng continue like this. At the same time he restored the 9 Daos Suppression Pagoda's Dao charm power, more than a dozen 5-colored lightning arcs blasted out. On the 7th floor, Esau instantly felt the terrifying pressure that had increased by dozens of times. The moment the pressure increased, his bones started to crack. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood essence. At the same time, he also saw Ning Cheng's footsteps slow down and clearly heard Ning Cheng's bones making ka the sounds. This scene was like a bucket of cold water poured over his head. He knew what was going on. Di Wuxuan gave up mobilizing the Dao charm power of the first few floors to refine the 9 Daos Suppression Pagoda. Instead, he returned the power to the 9 Daos Suppression Pagoda. He wanted to use the 9 Daos Suppression Pagoda and his spirit technique to stop the two from entering the 9th floor of the 9 Daos Suppression Pagoda. With such terrifying pressure, even Ning Cheng might not be able to stop it. Despair rose in Esau's heart. He knew that the 7th floor of the 9 Daos Suppression Pagoda was stronger than the 5th floor, but he didn't know that it was this strong. At this moment he felt the Dao charm aura around Ning Cheng's body suddenly grow stronger. He almost rubbed his eyes because he could clearly feel the terrifying Dao charm law power around Ning Cheng. At the same time, he saw Ning Cheng raise his hand and wave out several auras of laws. The pressure suddenly decreased, and the next moment, he heard Ning Cheng call out to him, "Why aren't you leaving yet? What are you staying here for?" Esau instantly understood this kind of terrifying pressure. Ning Cheng could also resist it. At this moment, he couldn't suppress the ecstasy in his heart at all. He followed Ning Cheng and rushed to the 8th floor. Before the 9 Daos Suppression Pagoda was fully refined, the power of laws on the 8th floor was stronger than the 7th floor. But even then, the strength was limited. Ning Cheng blasted out several law-breaking spirit techniques, and the pressure around him quickly decreased again. At this moment, more than a dozen 5-colored lightning bolts blasted over. Just like before, Ning Cheng did not care about these more than a dozen 5-colored lightning bolts, allowing these more than a dozen lightning bolts to bombard his body. The next moment, Ning Cheng passed through the lightning bolts and rushed to the 9th floor of the 9 Daos Suppression Pagoda. Esau was shocked by Ning Cheng's heaven-defying means and even subconsciously followed Ning Cheng into the 9th floor. As soon as he entered the 9th floor, Esau's eyes widened. "Di Wuxuan, you beast!" In the middle of the 9th floor stood a red-faced man with a dull expression. However, his face looked a little blue at the moment. Above this man's head, a giant 5-colored umbrella floated. In the corner of the 9th floor, a woman with lifeless eyes knelt on the ground. The reason why he said it was a woman was because there were a few accessories on her hair. Apart from that, this woman looked no different from a skeleton. Her blood essence had already been sucked dry. Esau rushed over and directly tore the restriction in front of the woman into pieces with a raise of his hand. The red-faced man was Di Wuxuan. He finally reacted and raised his hand to grab the 5 elements thunder umbrella while staring at Ning Cheng in fear. Ning Cheng had shattered his understanding. How could there be such a powerful primordial chaos holy emperor? Even if he hadn't fully refined the 9 Dao suppression pagoda, who could rush to the 9th floor of the 9 Dao suppression pagoda so quickly? One had to know that it took him tens of thousands of years to reach the 9th floor from the 1st floor. Or you? Di Wuxuan took in a deep breath and asked while staring at Ning Cheng. He was ready to escape at any time. Not to mention a terrifying powerhouse like Ning Cheng, he couldn't even beat Isa. At this moment he felt some regret. He shouldn't have extracted the Dao Charm Law power from the first few floors of the 9 Dao Suppression Pagoda to refine the 9th floor. If he hadn't done so, maybe this person in front of him wouldn't have been able to come up. Chapter 1196. You are Di Wuxuan? A guy who just reached Dao integration is so arrogant and dared to behave atrociously in the Heavenly Union's Thunder City. Ning Cheng sized up Di Wuxuan and spoke with some disappointment. It could be said that besides the 9 sky-suppressing pagoda, Di Wuxuan was practically useless. Die for me. Di Wuxuan seemed to be angered to the extreme. The 5 elements thunder umbrella erupted with the power of 5 different attributes. However, this time, it was not the lightning that shot out, but the 5-element space. At the same time that he brought out the 5-yuan space, a talisman had already appeared in his hand. He believed that his 5-essence space would be able to stop Ning Cheng for 1 to 2 breaths. Ning Cheng gave a cold snort. Go Wansheng escaped from my hands, and you want to leave too? At this moment, the cold void light spear rolled up 1,000 feet of ice light. Endless Taoist rhymes blasted out, completely freezing the space on the 9th floor of the 9-path sky-suppressing pagoda. He had come here for the breath soil. Even if he had to go all out, he would not let Di Wuxuan escape. When Ning Cheng's traceless spear line swept past Di Wuxuan's escape talisman, it immediately slowed down. Immediately after, Ning Cheng's icebound space appeared, and the escape talisman's light exploded onto the icebound space. Whether it was the quality of the escape talisman or the strength, Di Wuxuan could not compare to Go Wansheng. Go Wansheng could tear through Ning City's icebound spatial space and escape, but Di Wuxuan could not tear through Ning City's icebound spatial space in a short time. Catcha, with a cracking sound, Di Wuxuan's escape talisman blasted open a crack in Ning Cheng's icebound spatial. Di Wuxuan wholeheartedly wanted to escape and did not care about Ning Cheng behind him. Instead, he raised his hand and tore at the cracks in the ice-sealed spatial. The icebound space was finally torn apart by Di Wuxuan. At the same time, Isa had already rushed over. A cyan radiance with Dao charm flowing around it shot out. Di Wuxuan's figure instantly slowed down. The green radiance pierced through Di Wuxuan's chest, and the circulation of Dao runes on his body also loosened significantly. Di Wuxuan didn't have time to care about his injuries. He knew that if he couldn't escape from the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda today, he would definitely die. The escape talisman shone brightly again, and a space was set up in the air by him. Di Wuxuan heaved a sigh of relief. The escape talisman had finally been activated. Now, he just had to wait to leave. However, Di Wuxuan quickly sensed that something was amiss. He was not teleported away as he had imagined. A spatial force more powerful than his escape talisman blocked his escape talisman. Di Wuxuan felt that this was the power of Ning Cheng's laws of space. The giant hand condensed from Ning Cheng's Dao charm tore through the space formed by the escape talisman and directly grabbed Di Wuxuan's neck. Not far away, Isa, who had just injured Di Wuxuan and was holding onto Shu Ru, looked at Ning Cheng in shock. Ning Cheng, who was at the early stage primordial chaos realm, had condensed a Dao rune handprint to grab the neck of Di Wuxuan, who was at the early stage Dao integration realm. It was like picking up a little chick. Isa estimated that he would never forget this shocking scene for the rest of his life. Senior, this junior has no enmity with you. Why did you attack me? Di Wuxuan, who had been grabbed by Ning Cheng, asked in despair. Ning Cheng spoke up in a light voice. Scum like you, I will kill you every time I see you. Tell me, where is the breathing soil? Di Wuxuan suddenly let out a scream. If you want the breathing soil, then ask for the breathing soil. Don't find any noble excuses. If this emperor dies, then I die. If you want this emperor to tell me where the breathing soil is. Ning Cheng's Dao charm tightened, and Di Wuxuan suddenly screamed in pain. The Dao charm in his meridians shattered inch by inch, and his Zifu also shattered at the same time. Let me go, I will tell you the breathing soil. Di Wuxuan felt a sense of sadness in his heart. How many hardships had he gone through to succeed in Dao unification? If he had another half a day, no, as long as he had an hour, he could have refined the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda. At that time, wouldn't he be able to go anywhere he wanted in the vast universe? He was unwilling, truly unwilling. But just when he was about to succeed, he failed. Brother Ning, give him to me. If I don't torture him to tell me where the breathing soil is, I will forever. Isa, whose eyes had turned red, gnashed his teeth with sadness and murderous intent. Before he could finish, Ning Cheng interrupted him. No need. I already know where the breathing soil is. I'll leave this person to you. After Ning Cheng finished, he threw Di Wuxuan to Isa and flew to the top of the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda's 9th floor and grabbed a gray wooden box. The moment he crushed Isa's Zifu meridians and destroyed Isa's corporeal body and essence spirit cultivation, he sensed the location of the breathing soil. Ning Cheng immediately opened the wooden box and grabbed a fist-sized piece of soil from it. The soil was gray and exuded a primal chaos Dao charm aura. It felt as if it contained the essence of the entire world. The small piece of soil in his hand felt as heavy as a planet. It really is the breathing soil. Unfortunately, it's too small. Ning Cheng sighed. Whether it was fusing with the mysterious yellow bead or repairing the grand essence realm, he needed the breathing soil. However, this bit of breathing soil was clearly not enough. Ning Cheng decided to use this piece of breathing soil to fuse with the mysterious yellow bead and produce the 5 elements spirit water first. The main reason was that he hadn't collected all 5 earths yet. It would be a waste to keep the breathing soil. Secondly, once he fused with the mysterious yellow bead and obtained the 5 element spirit water, he would be able to refine the good fortune spirit spear. As long as he could refine the good fortune spirit spear, his strength would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. Once his strength improved by leaps and bounds, he could go to the mysterious yellow heavens beyond to look for the breathing soil. Not only would his chances increase, but his own safety would also be guaranteed. Brother Ning, I'm afraid that Shu Rui won't make it. I'll take her back to the Heavenly Union Star and then follow Brother Ning to look for the breathing soil for Brother Ning. Isa stepped on Di Wuxuan and spoke with a sad voice. Ning Cheng put away Di Wuxuan's 5 elements thunder umbrella and smiled. Sister-in-law can still be saved. You should deal with Di Wuxuan first. What? Shu Rui can still be saved? Isa trembled with excitement. Without thinking about it, he directly burned Di Wuxuan to ashes. He grabbed Di Wuxuan's ring and brought it to Ning Cheng before bowing and pleading, Brother Ning, please save her. Originally, he wanted to take Di Wuxuan back and slowly torture him. But when he heard that Shu Rui could still be saved, he didn't have the leisure to torture Di Wuxuan. Saving his Dao companion was the most important thing right now. With Ning Cheng's strength, he didn't doubt Ning Cheng's words at all. Ning Cheng didn't take the ring that Isa handed to him. You can put away this ring. I guess that you can't take this pagoda away even if I give it to you. So, I'll take it with me. Isa didn't refuse. He knew that there was no need to refuse a ring from a powerhouse like Ning Cheng. Moreover, Ning Cheng gave him this ring for another reason. Shu Rui's things were stored in the ring. Seeing Isa put away the ring, Ning Cheng took out a jade bottle and handed it to Isa. This is a drop of essence of the universe. It can save sister-in-law. Essence of the universe. Isa looked at Ning Cheng in shock. Did you climb to the 18th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda? Ning Cheng smiled and stuffed the jade bottle into Isa's hands. Yes, I did climb to the 18th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda. However, I didn't get much of this essence. Isa grabbed the jade bottle with excitement and bowed to Ning Cheng again. Brother Ning, I swear on my Dao that I will not reveal this matter. If Brother Ning asks for anything in the future, Esau will never refuse. Ning Cheng waved his hand. It's nothing. Brother E, hurry up and save her. Both Ning Cheng and Esau knew how precious the essence of the universe was. Therefore, Ning Cheng felt that Esau's attitude was worth it. Regardless of whether he needed Esau's help or not, Esau's gratitude suited his temperament. What he hated the most were those who didn't repay kindness or those who repaid kindness with enmity. As for the leak of the essence of the universe, Ning Cheng knew that if the breath soil really appeared, the essence of the universe would definitely leak out. In order to exchange for the breath soil, he didn't hesitate to use the essence of the universe. Esau dropped a drop of essence of the universe into Shu Rui's mouth. Shu Rui's vitality recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. At the same time, her body and essence spirit instantly condensed. Esau watched from the side with tears in his eyes. This was what he wanted to see even in his dreams. Ning Cheng also marveled at the power of the essence of the universe. Just a drop of it could restore a person who had lost her essence, blood, and even her soul. The only thing that hadn't fully recovered was her cultivation. With Esau's wealth, it was only a matter of time before Shu Rui recovered her cultivation. Brother Sa, did we all die? Shu Yu opened her eyes. When she saw Esau in front of her, her eyes suddenly turned red. She was a primordial essence holy emperor. Even before she finished her sentence, Ning Cheng knew that she hadn't died. Esau quickly said, "We're all fine. Brother Ning saved us." Esau explained in the most concise way that Ning Cheng had helped them. Shu Rui quickly stood up and walked to Ning Cheng with a bow to thank him. Ning Cheng smiled and said, "Brother E, you and sister-in-law should leave the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda first. I want to take this pagoda away." Something like the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda couldn't be taken away without refining it. However, Ning Cheng had a way. His mysterious yellow bead had a much higher grade than the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda. Even if he hadn't refined the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda, he could still take it away. Among the 3 people outside the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda, Deacon Li was the most nervous. The old man was the most relaxed. Don't look at him calling Ning Cheng Senior. He wouldn't feel sad even if Ning Cheng died. Seeing Li Kuanghe's nervousness, the old man patted Li Kuanghe's arm and said, "I have faith in Senior Ning's strength. Nothing will happen to him. You don't have to worry." The old man comforted Li Kuanghe with his mouth. But in his heart, he felt annoyed that he was too short and couldn't reach Li Kuanghe's shoulder. Suddenly, he felt shocked by the scene in front of him. He couldn't even continue speaking. The 9 Dao charms disappeared again. No, they turned into Dao charms and surrounded the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda. Zhang Tai-yi also saw this change and spoke up in surprise. The old fogey reacted and clapped his hands. "I knew that Senior Ning would be fine. In this case, that Di Wuxuan must have been killed." Li Kuanghe was just about to ask when he saw 2 figures rushing out of the pagoda. "City Master, Junior Apprentice Sister Shu Rui, are you all right?" Li Kuanghe came forward in surprise. Esau patted Li Kuanghe's shoulder excitedly and said, "Thank you for all these years, Kuanghe. Brother Ning's spirit power is boundless and saved me and sister-in-law." Shu Rui's face turned red with excitement. She found that she hadn't just been saved. She originally had an terminated meridian body. But after taking the true essence of the universe, meridians started to appear in her body. Because of her terminated meridian body, even if she had first-class qualifications, she could only advance to the pseudo-primordial chaos realm with endless treasures. Now that meridians appeared in her body, it meant that her future achievements would be immeasurable. "Shu Ru, what's wrong with you?" Esau immediately noticed Shu Rui's abnormality. Shu Rui was just about to speak when a roar suddenly arrived. Everyone looked at the position of the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda in shock. The 9 Dao space suppression pagoda, which stood in place, suddenly started to shake. The roar came from the Dao charms caused by the shaking of the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda. "What's going on?" Zhang Tai had just said those words when she saw the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda suddenly rise into the air and disappear without a trace. At the place where the 9 Dao space suppression pagodas originally stood, Ning Cheng took a step into the void. Chapter 1197. Let's go. I've put away the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda. No one will use this pagoda to harm people in the future. Ning Cheng laughed before landing on the ground. The old fogey knew about Ning Cheng's origin. Although he was surprised, he could accept it. Yi Sa and Ning Cheng entered the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda together. Thinking about Ning Cheng casually climbing to the 9th floor of the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda and the scene of Ning Cheng grabbing Dao integration Holy Emperor Di Wuxuan's neck, he felt that it was completely normal for Ning Cheng to put away the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda. Even Great Emperor Ping Ding, an ancient great emperor, had to call him senior. It would be strange if he was simple. However, Zhang Tei and Li Guanghe were stunned. If the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda could be put away without refining it, then Di Wuxuan would have to be a fool to stay here and refine it. Zhang Tai made up her mind to build a good relationship with Ning Cheng and then join forces with him to go to the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda. Congratulations, Brother Ning. Zhang Tai was the most shocked and the first to react. She came to congratulate Ning Cheng. After Zhang Tai congratulated him, the others came to congratulate Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng smiled. Let's go back to the Heavenly Alliance Star City first. I still have some things to deal with. Ning Cheng naturally had to perfect the mysterious yellow bead, obtain the 5-element spirit water, and then refine the spirit transforming spear. Brother Ning is the most powerful primordial essence Holy Emperor I've ever seen. I believe that with Brother Ning's means, we can definitely reap greater benefits in the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda if we join forces. Zhang Tai walked to Ning Cheng's side with a smile and spoke with a gentle tone. At this moment, she remembered the man who took her to the top of the tidal pagoda. Perhaps only he could compare with Ning Cheng. As for the other geniuses she knew, they were nothing in front of Ning Cheng. Hearing Zhang Taiyi's words, Yi Sa looked at her in surprise, but he quickly retracted his gaze and pretended not to know anything. He knew very well that Ning Cheng would never go to the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda with Zhang Tai again. Ning Cheng had already reached the 18th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda, so what was the point of going in? Was it for someone else? Sure enough, Ning Cheng showed a smile. Many thanks for Dao friend Tantai's appreciation, but I don't plan to enter the Heavenly Union's Dao Pagoda for the time being. I'll be using Brother Yi's Heavenly Alliance planet to cultivate in seclusion for a period of time. Yi Sa quickly replied. From now on, the Heavenly Union Star will belong to Brother Ning. If Brother Ning wants to do anything in the Heavenly Union Star, I, Yi Sa, will do my best to help. The best place for seclusion in my Heavenly Union Star is the Heavenly Union Star Mountain. If Brother Ning wants to go into seclusion, then go to this place. Zhang Tai was slightly startled. She thought that Ning Cheng would enter the Heavenly Alliance's Dao Pagoda for the second time soon. She did not expect that Ning Cheng would not have such an idea at all. He made her, who rarely miscalculated, taste the taste of failure. She quickly reacted and quickly said with a smile, then I'll wish Brother Ning a higher level in advance. I'll still live in the Heavenly Union Star and take some time to visit the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda. In the future, after Brother Ning comes out of seclusion, you can always come to my residence as a guest. After saying that, Zhang Tai took the initiative to take out her communication pearl and wanted to exchange auras with Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng always felt that Zhang Tai was too utilitarian and didn't want to associate with such a woman. It's just that this woman had always been friendly and valued him a lot. Now that she even took out her communication pearl, he couldn't pretend that he didn't know about it. He also took out his communication pearl and exchanged auras with Zhang Tai. The old fart swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He suddenly wondered if he should really treat Ning Cheng as his boss. With his strength, as long as he didn't meet a powerhouse like Go Wanxing, he could protect himself in the void and slowly recover his strength. But it would still be a bit scary. If he followed his boss Ning Cheng, he wouldn't have to worry about his safety at all. Since Ning Cheng chose to stay in seclusion in the Heavenly Union Star, why couldn't he stay by Ning Cheng's side and continue to be a little brother? Thinking of this, the old fart was about to speak when Ning Cheng patted his shoulder hard again. Old fart, I have something to ask you. But because I've been busy, I didn't have the time. So now is the right time to ask you. Senior, if you have any questions, this junior will do his best to answer them. The old fart patted his chest and showed his loyalty. Ning Qing didn't care about the old fart's loyalty. He knew that this old fart, who had lived for countless years, wasn't as easy to talk to as he seemed. Old fart, do you know about the 10 major spirit techniques? Ning Qing asked casually. What he really wanted to ask was not about the 10 major spirit techniques, but whether the old fart cultivated a karmic cultivation method. The old fart always talked about karma. Moreover, when he first met the old fart, it was in an illusory karma house. Because of this, Ning Qing wanted to ask about this matter. He didn't plan to cultivate a karmic cultivation method. But now that he advanced to the Tao fusion realm, he planned to cultivate a karmic spirit technique. Isa and the others didn't expect Ning Qing to ask this question. Although they all knew a little about it, they didn't speak. The old fart was the one who had lived the longest here, so it was most appropriate for him to answer this question. The old fart froze for a moment, then sighed and said, Senior, I know what you want to ask. You want to ask about the 10 major spirit techniques circulated in the 5 grand realms. I do know about them. Ning Qing felt a little puzzled. Old fart, are there different versions of the 10 major spirit techniques? The old fart explained, there are indeed different versions, but it doesn't matter. There are only 10 types of 10 major spirit techniques that have been passed down. The first is the good fortune spirit technique, the second is the fate spirit technique, the third is the formless spirit technique, the fourth is the karmic spirit technique, and the fifth is the strength spirit technique. Wait. Ning Qing stopped the old fart's words. You said that the 5th-ranked spirit technique is the strength spirit technique? Pure power? The old fart nodded cautiously. Yes, it is indeed the strength spirit technique. You can't understand it because your power has not reached the extreme. As long as your power reaches the extreme, you will find that many terrifying spirit techniques are nothing but floating clouds in front of you. Ning Qing didn't refute it this time. In fact, he somewhat agreed with the old fart's words. Perhaps this was the meaning of the phrase, one force can overcome 10. Just like before he came from Earth, the current strength comparison on Earth was based on power. Whoever's firepower was more powerful. Seeing that Ning Qing didn't continue to ask, the old fart followed up. The 6th is the samsara spirit technique, the 7th is the spirit pattern spirit technique, the 8th is the spirit light spirit technique, the 9th is the 5-element spirit technique, and the 10th is the yin-yang spirit technique. Nowadays, most people know that the real spirit techniques are not these, and no one thinks that such a ranking is inappropriate. Ning Qing had already forgotten that he originally wanted to ask the old fart if he cultivated a karma cultivation method. Instead, he asked, Old fart, do you mean to say that the 10 major spirit techniques are not these? The old fart smiled. Of course, there are still a few decent ones among these 10 major spirit techniques. But what are the rest of them? But I haven't asked for your advice. Ning Qing cupped his fists, with a cautious expression on his face. The old fart, on seeing Ning Qing attach so much importance to him, even felt a little startled. He quickly waved his hand and said, If Senior wants to ask, then this Junior will naturally try his best to answer. Ning Qing really didn't think much of this old fart who was good at using people. However, the old fart's insight made him look at him in a different light. What was the most precious thing on earth? Talent was the most precious. What was a talent? Naturally, it was a talent who understood a certain aspect. Although the old fart's character was not good, he was still a talent. Seeing Ning Qing being so polite, the old fart replied with even more seriousness, The 10 major spirit techniques are fabricated. I don't know if the 10 major spirit techniques exist or not. But as far as I know, the most powerful spirit techniques in ancient times were not these, but the 8 major cultivation methods. Each of these 8 great cultivation methods will give rise to a peerless great divine ability. Even Isa and the others paid attention to what the old fart had to say. Feeling that he was being taken seriously, the old fart spoke up in a sonorous tone. The first spirit technique is the good fortune spirit technique. The second spirit technique is also not wrong, it's the fate spirit technique. The third spirit technique is not the formless spirit technique, but the karma spirit technique. The fourth spirit technique is the reincarnation spirit technique, and the fifth spirit technique is the strength spirit technique. The sixth spirit technique is the formless spirit technique. The seventh spirit technique is the law spirit technique, and the eighth spirit technique is the stars spirit technique. In order to cultivate these 8 great divine abilities, one must first cultivate these 8 great cultivation methods. For example, if you want to learn the fate spirit technique, you must have a fate cultivation method. Ning Cheng froze for a moment and asked subconsciously, what about the absolute beginning God rune, absolute beginning God light, grand essence spirit thunder, and the other spirit techniques? The old fart showed a hint of disdain at the corner of his mouth. God rune, spirit light, and spirit thunder, all of these spirit techniques evolved from the sixth spirit technique, the formless spirit technique. For example, the fate spirit technique, blessing spirit technique, disaster spirit technique, and so on are all branches of the second spirit technique, the fate spirit technique. However, these spirit techniques have been passed down for a long time and are very powerful. No one would find it wrong to say that they are one of the current top 10 spirit techniques. Ning Cheng froze for a moment. Only now did he realize that among the top 10 spirit techniques, the absolute beginning God rune, the absolute beginning God light, the grand essence spirit thunder, the Tai Chi yin and yang, and the Tai Yi spirit technique were the formless spirit techniques. In other words, the icebound space and the law-breaking spirit techniques he created were just branches of the top 8 spirit techniques. Do you cultivate a karma cultivation method? Ning Cheng looked at the old fart and asked. The old fart said with a bitter smile, if I had such a great opportunity, why would I fear Go Wansheng? What I cultivate is a branch of the karma cultivation method, called the minor formless cultivation method. Ning Cheng didn't expect that the old fart's cultivation method would have a similar name to his cultivation method. He cultivated the mysterious yellow formless, while the old fart cultivated the minor formless. That's just some idle chatter. Many of the 8 great divine abilities have disappeared. What remains now are just some branches. Of course, these branch spirit techniques are also very powerful. The old fart quickly added on seeing Ning Cheng's thoughtful expression. Ning Cheng also smiled, that's true. Let's return to the heavenly union planet first. Now that they didn't even have a third-step powerhouse, it was normal for the 8 ancient cultivation methods and spirit techniques to disappear. Chapter 1198. After returning to the heavenly union planet, Zhan Tai-yi had no reason to stay. She could only invite Ning Cheng again before leaving. However, the old fogey found an excuse to stay in the city master's mansion. He felt that since Go Wansheng had just left, it would be safer for him to stay by Ning Cheng's side. Moreover, after a period of observation, he felt that this senior Ning Cheng really did not care about his heaven and earth cauldron. Ning Cheng didn't care whether the old fogey left or not. At this moment, he was in secluded cultivation at the Heavenly Union Star Mountain, the place with the densest spiritual chi in the Heavenly Union Star God realm. This place was originally Esau's cultivation place, but now that Ning Cheng chose to stay here in seclusion, he did not hesitate to give it to Ning Cheng. Aside from that, there were also 10,000 barrels of Heavenly Alliance Stardew. There were not many Heavenly Alliance Astral Dew. However, due to its high price, few sold. Esau, except for a very small number of them, simply gave all of them to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng liked the Heaven Alliance's Stardew very much, so he did not refuse Esau's gift to him. In any case, on the surface, there was basically no major change in the Heavenly Alliance Star City, apart from the fact that someone had set foot on the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda and someone had destroyed the Heavenly Alliance Star Restaurant. The Heavenly Union Planet was a huge void city, and the Heavenly Union Mountain was the safest place in the entire Heavenly Union Planet with the densest divine spirit chi. If Ning Cheng went into seclusion in this place, then even if he did not arrange any array formations, he would still be absolutely safe. Nevertheless, Ning Cheng still arranged layers of restrictions outside the Heavenly Union's Star Mountain. The mysterious yellow bead was not a trivial matter, As such, he wanted to perfect the mysterious yellow bead. Esau wouldn't have any problems, but in case something big happened while he was perfecting the mysterious yellow bead's world, it would definitely not be a good thing. Therefore, it was necessary to take some precautions. Within the mysterious yellow bead, Ning Cheng had already let the void explosive golden wasps and chasing bull enter the true spirit world. Just in case, he sent the true spirit world outside the mysterious yellow bead. Chasing bull, on the other hand, was quite lazy. Even with so many super cultivation resources, it could only reach Starry Sky Grade 9. As for Dao sculpting comprehension, it still fell far short. On the other hand, the void explosive golden wasp king was more diligent and had already reached Starry Sky Grade 8, which was equivalent to the life and death realm. The few exploding golden wasps around the exploding golden wasp king also had strength hovering around class 6. Only when the exploding golden wasps gathered in a swarm would they pose a formidable threat. Currently, the exploding golden wasps were not in a swarm, so Ning Cheng did not expect them to play much of a role. After sending off Chasing Bull and the exploding golden wasps, Ning Cheng started to arrange array formations again. In addition to protecting the inheritance sapling under the tree, he also protected his divine herb garden with layers of protection. After doing all these, Ning Cheng took out the breath soil. The fist-sized piece of breath soil felt as heavy as a planet, and even Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness couldn't penetrate it. From the looks of it, even if Di Wuxuan used the breath soil to refine the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda, the breath soil would not disappear. Moreover, Ning Cheng also had releasing soil and gung soil. These two types of soil, be it in terms of weight or aura of laws, were far from being comparable to the living soil. Even after looking at it for a long time, Ning Cheng still could not see anything. He placed the growing soil on the ground and raised his hand to take out the half of the wood origin bead that was sealed by a restriction. Ning Cheng opened the restriction, and a powerful force from the mysterious yellow bead swept away the half-wood origin bead. A blue-colored explosion erupted in the air. Immediately Ning Cheng felt the mysterious yellow bead violently shake. An ear-piercing roar erupted from the mysterious yellow bead, as if the mysterious yellow bead was about to explode in the next moment. The sea and mountains formed by the mysterious yellow bead also seemed to shake and slowly disappeared from Ning Cheng's line of sight. Instead, it was replaced by a chaotic blur, followed by the endless chaotic power of the Tao charm laws. The crazy power of the laws of heaven and earth continued to emerge, causing Ning Cheng to feel horrified. He had already perfected the mysterious yellow bead several times. Every time he obtained the origin bead, he would complete it once. But it had never caused such a huge commotion, and this was just the beginning. Before Ning Cheng could figure out what was going on, a terrifying suction force swept over, and Ning Cheng felt the Tao charm aura and all the power around him getting sucked away. Even he himself would be bound and unable to move. Ning Cheng felt horrified. If it were an ordinary perfected mysterious yellow bead, he wouldn't have felt bound. In any case, the mysterious yellow bead was his thing, and his life wouldn't be in danger. But now he had to collect the 5-element spirit water. Once the breath soil and the mysterious yellow bead's world merged, and he could not move, the 5-element spirit water would disappear from the primal chaos world. Ning Cheng had just thought of this when he saw the breath soil on the ground suddenly float up and then explode in the air. The Tao charm law aura from the mysterious yellow bead and the Tao charm law aura from the breath soil fused together and sounded like the sounds of nature. Dozens of rainbow-colored dewdrops floated down from the sky, extremely beautiful. This was definitely 5-element divine water. He had not expected there to be so little of it. Seeing the mysterious yellow bead's Tao charm getting stronger and stronger, Ning Cheng couldn't care less about the damage to his body and raised his hand to cast a law-breaking spirit technique. At this moment, the effects of the law-breaking spirit technique were extremely weak, and it only allowed Ning Cheng to move. Ning Cheng brought out the measureless gourd and raised his hand to collect the dozen drops of 5-element spirit water that had yet to fall to the ground. Putting away the 5-element spirit water, Ning Cheng didn't have the time to put away the measureless gourd. This time, the law power not only began to crazily absorb the Dao charm aura around Ningcheng, but it also quickly swept away part of Ningcheng's essence blood. With a click, no matter how strong Ningcheng's body was, he couldn't withstand such a terrifying pressure. Isa had been in a good mood recently, not only because his Dao companion Shu Rui had been rescued, but also because Shu Rui's terminated meridian body had disappeared due to the quintessential essence of the universe's restoration. Shu Rui's cultivation had indeed plummeted, but Isa didn't care. As long as he was still on the Heavenly Union planet, even if Shu Rui didn't have any cultivation, with Shu Rui's perception, he was confident that he could help Shu Rui reach primordial chaos again. Another reason was that he got to know a powerhouse like Ningcheng. Since taking charge of the Heavenly Union planet, he had seen too many powerhouses. This was the first time he had met a powerhouse like Ningcheng. Moreover, Ningcheng's temperament wasn't that kind of person. He was the kind of friend that Isa wanted to make. Big brother Sa, did Ningcheng hide his cultivation? Otherwise, how could he be so powerful? At this time, only Isa, Shu Rui, and Li Kuanghe were sitting in the Heavenly Union Star City's City Lord Mansion. The one asking the question was Shu Rui, whose blood and qi were growing more vigorous. With Shu Rui's current state, she could enter seclusion to restore her cultivation in half a month. Isa smiled when he heard Shu Rui's words. I'm sure he didn't hide his cultivation. Moreover, he hasn't crossed the first heaven's blight. Otherwise, he would have become even stronger. If I'm not wrong, his cultivation method should be one of the 8 great cultivation methods mentioned by Great Emperor Pingding. Li Kuanghe nodded. He agreed with Isa's words. Otherwise, Ningcheng wouldn't have put away a treasure like the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda so easily. At this moment, a dazzling yellow light shot into the sky. The spirit qi and Dao charm aura crazily swept through the entire void. Isa and the other 2 instantly caught sight of it. Isa's expression changed, and he immediately rushed out of the City Lord Mansion. It's Brother Ning's seclusion place. Li Kuanghe's expression also changed drastically. He had wanted to say that Ningcheng might have a top-grade treasure, but at this time, such a phenomenon appeared in Ningcheng's seclusion place. Even without Li Kuanghe's words, the few of them could see it clearly. In the depths of the Heavenly Union Star Mountain, a terrifying yellow light shot into the sky. Endless heaven and earth laws and Dao charm aura, as well as the aura of gods, crazily rushed over from the endless void. Then, like a whirlpool, they all sucked into the yellow light. Not good. Isa's face suddenly turned pale. It was imaginable that such a terrifying aura would definitely attract the experts in the surrounding void. No matter how strong Isa was, he couldn't help Ningcheng block the impact of so many experts. Li Kuanghe's expression also changed. What Isa thought he obviously also thought of. Just as Isa expected, countless people in the Heavenly Union Star City flocked to the Heavenly Union Star Mountain. As for the endless void outside the Heavenly Union Star, many experts also felt the scene and rushed over. Everyone stop. This is the Heavenly Union Star Mountain, where I cultivate in seclusion. Isa immediately blocked the Heavenly Union Star Mountain's mountain protecting array. Isa had perfected Dao integration strength. Coupled with Shu Rui's return, his Dao heart had become more mellow. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was at the half-step creation realm. The Dao charm nomological power around him swept out and immediately suppressed the many experts. City Lord E, we just want to go over and see what's going on with that yellow light. Besides, City Lord E isn't in seclusion right now, a late-stage primordial chaos expert called out from the crowd. Yes, we just want to see what's going on with that yellow light. More people in the crowd echoed. Ningcheng had perfected the mysterious yellow bead, so the yellow light didn't have any mysterious yellow origin aura. Otherwise, even with Isa blocking in front, everyone wouldn't have been able to resist the greed in their hearts and rushed into the Heavenly Union Star Mountain. Isa frowned and was about to speak. Suddenly he heard a chuckle. The Heavenly Union Star Mountain is a private seclusion place. Who told you that you can go in whenever you want? City Lord E isn't in seclusion, but can't other people enter seclusion here? The one who spoke was the old man. He wanted Ningcheng's protection, so he naturally wouldn't fall behind. He was sure that the yellow light was caused by Ning Cheng's seclusion. Given Ning Cheng's strength, who would he be afraid of? Since Ning Cheng wasn't afraid of anyone, he naturally had to come out and show his loyalty. If Esau had said this, perhaps no one would have refuted it. However, the old man's superficial strength was too much. He had just reached Dao validation and seemed to have yet to stabilize. Almost at the same time as the old man finished speaking, a man at the early stage primordial chaos snorted. Would seclusion cause such a big commotion? A rare treasure must have appeared. Two black flashes that cut through the void were thrown out by the old man and directly swept towards the early stage primordial chaos expert. The early stage primordial chaos man was shocked. He didn't have time to take out his Dharma treasure. His entire body transformed into a twisting ribbon, trying to escape from the space created by the two black flashes. Too late. The old man's voice reached his ears. Then, the early-stage primordial chaos sacred emperor saw a huge cauldron shadow land on top of his head. Chapter 1199. Another ray of light swept over. This ray of light forcibly blocked the cauldron image of the old man's cosmos cauldron. The old man's expression turned ugly. City Lord E, why are you blocking me? Why can't I kill this kind of trash who wants to attack other people's cave abodes? Esau looked calm, but he despised the old man in his heart. He did not believe that the old man did not know that these people could not be killed now. There were so many people here. Once he killed one, it would incur public anger, and he would not be able to stop it. There's no hurry to kill them. These people are guests of the Heavenly Union planet. After all, they have not attacked the Heavenly Union planet yet, Esau said faintly. The old man's expression changed very quickly. He immediately chuckled and stopped talking. In fact, he did not care about public anger. If he wanted to kill, he would kill until blood flowed like a river. He, the great Emperor Ping Ding, had not killed so happily in a long time. Moreover, there was a senior behind him. What was there for him to be afraid of? Unfortunately, Esau was too timid and did not dare to provoke a group battle. This made him lose a lot of fun. The early-stage primordial chaos sacred emperor who had been saved quickly retreated in fear. He did not dare to say anything. He had dared to ask this because he knew that Esau would not dare to do anything. Who knew that someone would really dare to do so? The yellow flare is slowly disappearing. Someone in the crowd saw the soaring yellow flare gradually disappear and immediately exclaimed. The yellow flare had disappeared, but the divine spirit chi and heaven-earth law Dao runes that swept over had not disappeared. Instead, they had become stronger. Boom! A roar came from outside the Heavenly Union planet. Esau's heart sank. What he had been most worried about had come. When the yellow flare had soared into the sky, he had been afraid that someone would come to the Heavenly Union planet to cause trouble. It had only been a while, but someone had already arrived outside the Heavenly Union planet. Kwang He, stay here and protect Brother Ning. I'll go out and take a look. Esau quickly flashed away after saying that. The vision has disappeared. As soon as Esau left, the people surrounding the Heavenly Union Star Mountain saw the whirlpool-like divine spirit chi and the Dao rune aura that had been sucked in disappear without a trace. The Heavenly Union Star Mountain returned to its original state. The surrounding cultivators began to hesitate and wondered if they should go in and investigate. Although Esau had stopped the old man from killing the early-stage primordial chaos cultivator, many low-level cultivators were still worried. When Ning Cheng finally opened his eyes, he felt as if his entire body had changed. A spirit essence power that was even thicker than when he advanced to primordial chaos filled his body. He remembered that before he fainted, his bones had clearly been crushed by the terrifying aura of the rules, but now he was completely fine. The surrounding space seemed to have changed a lot, causing Ning Cheng to leap up. At this moment he was truly stunned. This was the real world. Everything in front of him became clear. The blue sky might be the same as before, but there was an additional stable aura of the Tao rhyme laws. The sun, the moon, the stars, the mountains, the rivers, the lakes, the seas, the marshes. Ning Cheng finally caught hold of that difference. It was the derivation of a kind of vitality. Although his Xianhuang world had been formed previously, it seemed to be in a state of relative stillness. But now, it was as if there was an additional aura of the life rules that kept growing, and he vaguely controlled all the rules of this world. Ning Cheng's gaze then fell onto the vast sea. He saw a huge island on the seashore, with a tree that he was very familiar with. Even if the mysterious yellow bead belonged to him, and everything inside belonged to him, he could still feel that this island was faintly discernible. Is this the mirage tree? Ning Cheng took in a deep breath. He did not expect that the colorful mirage tree, which had been withered in the mysterious yellow bead, would not only come to life, but also grow on this island that had suddenly risen from the sea. However, Ning Cheng did not feel too surprised, because he was the master here. As for these reasons, he would definitely figure them out. Ning Cheng decided to wait and see about the mirage tree. He reached out and grabbed the measureless gourd that had fallen not far away, while an indescribable feeling welled up in his heart. The mysterious yellow bead, at this moment, felt like a part of his life, integrated with his entire soul. As long as he willed it, the mysterious yellow bead would not reveal even the slightest bit of aura. He even had a feeling that even if he did not put away the dozen drops of 5-element spirit water, he could still extract them from the earth of the mysterious yellow world. Ning Cheng's starry sky sea of consciousness vaguely experienced a new change at this moment. He felt that as long as he grasped onto something, his starry sky sea of consciousness would no longer continue to expand and stabilize, but would instead reach a new level. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness extended out and immediately saw the many cultivators surrounding the Heavenly Union Star Mountain. The old Fogey and Deacon Li were blocking the Heavenly Union Star Mountain, not allowing anyone to come in. The atmosphere was tense, and it felt as if a war could break out at any time. Ning Cheng quickly rushed out of the mysterious yellow bead and put away the true spirit world. Seeing Ning Cheng about to throw it into the mysterious yellow bead again, Chasing Bull quickly called out, "Master's means are now unfathomable. I also want to breathe the air outside. Moreover, I feel that in the endless void, I will have more opportunities to comprehend the Grand Tao." Chasing Bull was a lively fellow. But because of its low strength, Ning Cheng had let it stay in the mysterious yellow bead to look after the divine grasses. Chasing Bull was already tired of such days. Now that it knew that its master Ning Cheng's strength had greatly increased, if it missed the opportunity to come out, it didn't know when it would have to wait. Ning Cheng had a clear understanding of Chasing Bull's moral integrity. Therefore, he felt that Chasing Bull's words were not wrong. Chasing Bull had the bloodline of the wind-seeking heavenly bull celestial beast. Although its mysterious yellow bead had become a true top-grade world, it still lacked the various kinds of people in the void. Tao sculpting wasn't something that could be achieved behind closed doors. If Chasing Bull wanted to Tao sculpting, it had to enter the void and interact with more people and things. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng nodded. "Okay, you can follow me from now on. You don't need to enter the mysterious yellow bead anymore." With his current strength, even if others knew that Chasing Bull had the bloodline of a spirit beast, no one would dare to snatch the wind-seeking heavenly bull. Master is wise and mighty. Chasing Bull following Master is a stroke of luck, a stroke of opportunity, and a stroke of genius. Shut up. While Chasing Bull was still talking, Ning Cheng gave a shout. Chasing Bull closed its mouth without any care and looked at the void exploding golden wasps on the side with pride. Ning Cheng also looked at the exploding golden wasps and asked, "What about you? Do you want to stay outside or enter the mysterious yellow bead to continue cultivating?" The void exploding golden wasps suddenly sent Ning Cheng a message. "Master, I want to enter the void alone. Staying in the mysterious yellow bead's world is of no use to me. I'm the wasp queen, and I want to find my queen and more exploding golden wasps." Ning Cheng couldn't help but feel ashamed when he heard this. Because the strength of the exploding golden wasps was much lower than his, he didn't care about it. However, he never thought that the exploding golden wasps lived in groups, nor did he think that the exploding golden wasp king needed a queen. "Okay, I'll send you into the endless void. What happens in the future will depend on your own luck." Ning Cheng spoke without hesitation. Since the exploding golden wasp king had already recognized him as its master, he didn't need to bind the exploding golden wasps to himself. Many thanks, master. The exploding golden wasps sent another message. It was far from being as good at flattering as Chasing Bull. But after hearing about it, it still felt a little affected by Chasing Bull. Apart from Chasing Bull and the exploding golden wasp king, Ning Cheng also saw the underworld crow ghost Rotan King. It's just that the underworld crow ghost Rotan King had fallen into a deep slumber after advancing to Starry Sky Grade 9. Come on, let's go out and have a look. Ning Cheng stepped out of the restriction and landed beside Li Kuanghe and the old fogey. Seeing Ning Cheng come out, the old fogey felt overjoyed and quickly called out, "Senior, these people wanted to attack your seclusion, but I tried my best to stop them. Fortunately, Senior came out. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known what to do." When Chasing Bull heard the old fogey's words, its gaze immediately fell on the old fogey. It secretly thought to itself that this fellow would be a formidable opponent in the future. Moreover, this fellow's ability to curry favor with others wasn't any weaker than its own. "I just borrowed City Master Yi's place for seclusion for a few days. I don't know how I offended you, but why did you come here to attack my seclusion cave?" Ning Cheng's gaze swept over the many cultivators surrounding the Heavenly Union Star Mountain and spoke with an indifferent tone. Some of the cultivators knew about Ning Cheng's origins. The matter of Ning Cheng punching Go Wanshing away in the Heavenly Union Star restaurant had already spread out. "I heard that he was the one who climbed to the 12th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda. Wasn't he the one who punched Go Wanshing away in the Heavenly Union Star restaurant? It must be him. Otherwise, how could City Master Yi give up the Heavenly Union Star Mountain?" Discussions broke out in the crowd, and some of the cultivators even wanted to retreat. "Senior, we only saw a beam of yellow light shooting into the sky and endless divine spirit chi and Dao rune aura being absorbed by the yellow light. We thought it was a phenomenon, so we wanted to see the specific situation," a mid-stage primordial chaos sacred emperor said respectfully in the crowd. Many people also knew that the old fogey was Great Emperor Ping Ding. Since the old fogey addressed Ning Cheng as senior, he, a middle-stage primordial chaos holy emperor, naturally had to address Ning Cheng as senior. Ning Cheng guessed that his mysterious yellow bead must have caused a huge commotion during the improvement process, which attracted everyone. He raised his hand and blasted out a yellow beam of light. Under the operation of the mysterious yellow formless, endless spirit chi and Dao charm aura swept over. "Are you talking about this? This is the aura of my cultivation. Do you have a problem with me cultivating in seclusion here?" Ning Cheng's tone turned cold. Ning Cheng raised his hand and caused such a commotion. Many cultivators apologized one after another and quickly retreated. It turned out that what they saw was a commotion caused by Ning Cheng's cultivation, not the birth of a rare treasure. It seemed normal for a powerful senior like Ning Cheng to cause such a commotion while cultivating. He had punched Go Wanshing away. If he got angry, he would have to bear the consequences. Originally, Chasing Bull wanted to open its mouth and say a few words when so many experts appeared here. However, it was suppressed by the powerful aura and did not dare to speak at all. Now that it saw Ning Cheng's power, which scared everyone away, it immediately rushed out proudly. "A group of ants, how dare you come here and be arrogant? You've disturbed my master's seclusion. This old bull will swallow you all." Ning Cheng's face turned ugly. He saw that some people ignored Yi Sa's dissuasion and still attacked the Heavenly Union Star's star-protecting Grand Array. Chapter 1200. "Brother Ning, you're out of seclusion?" Yi Sa, who was standing next to the planet-protecting array, exclaimed in surprise when he saw Ning Cheng. There were dozens of experts outside the planet-protecting array. The strongest of them was no weaker than Yi Sa, and there were two of them. Only 4 primordial chaos sacred emperors were attacking the array. In Ning Cheng's opinion, their cultivation level was only at the mid-stage primordial chaos sacred emperor. "City Lord Yi, these 4 people are very bold." Ning Cheng pointed at the 4 people attacking the planet-protecting array. The Tao Integration Sacred Emperors hadn't made a move yet these 4 Primordial Chaos Sacred Emperors had dared to attack the planet protecting array. Esau said helplessly, "These 4 people are very strange. Don't look at their cultivation level that hasn't reached Tao integration. However, the 4 of them aren't afraid of anyone in this void. When they fight, the 4 of them act like one person. No matter where they are, they can condense their spatial law in an instant and form a spatial array. This is their spatial innate talent, which others can't learn at all. Once you're trapped in the spatial array, even I'm afraid it'll be difficult for you to escape." They were also notorious in this area. One of them was called the 4 Void Brothers, which meant brothers, not ferocious. Because they're strong, they never separate. After saying that, Esau glanced at the group of people behind the 4 and said, "There are a few Tao integration experts here. These 4 people are just relying on their master's power. I'll go out and meet these guys." After saying that, Ning Cheng stepped out without waiting for Esau to open the planet protecting array. Esau stared blankly at Ning Cheng as he appeared outside the planet protecting array, wondering how Ning Cheng had gotten out. The planet protecting array hadn't been opened, so it wasn't easy to enter from the inside or the outside. How had Ning Cheng done it? He hadn't given Ning Cheng the array's control flag. The Void Domain 4 brothers noticed Ning Cheng as soon as he came out of the planet protecting array. The 4 of them surrounded Ning Cheng without thinking. The 4 of them fought together, regardless of whether their opponents were Tao Integration Sacred Emperors or Primordial Chaos Sacred Emperors. Sure enough, the void around Ning Cheng was completely out of his control the moment the 4 of them surrounded him. It was as if someone had created a new rule space in the blink of an eye, and he was the person trapped in this new rule space. Sure enough, Ning Cheng raised his hand and used a law-breaking spirit technique. The spatial shackles around him, which had changed the laws around him, weakened instantly, and Ning Cheng punched out. The fact that the 4 Void Brothers were able to form an independent space in such a short amount of time was indeed due to their innate spatial abilities. However, at this moment, the 4 of them were extremely shocked. Ever since their space condensation mystic art was formed, it had never shown signs of weakening. Even if it was used against a Tao integration expert, it would be strengthened to the extreme in an instant. Now, a mere early-stage primordial chaos cultivator had used a divine power to weaken their condensed space. This was simply outrageous. Bang! A mist of blood sprayed out, and a mid-stage primordial chaos sacred emperor standing opposite Ning Cheng turned into a mist of blood. One of the 4 had fallen, and the binding space disappeared at the same time. The remaining 3 felt a chill in their hearts. What kind of terrifying divine ability was this? It could break the spatial laws they had condensed themselves. Their spatial talent was because they could condense a new spatial law, which even Tao integration experts could not ignore. Now, it had been broken by a divine power and a punch. The remaining 3 hurriedly retreated, but Ning Cheng did not chase after them. He knew that even if he chased after them, he could not kill the 3 of them at the same time. Esau also opened the planet protecting array. This was not the first time he had seen Ning Cheng's divine power. This divine power seemed to be able to break the heaven-earth law. Ning Cheng had used it in the 9 Tao sky-suppressing pagoda. Esau was already used to Ning Cheng's strength, but the many experts surrounding the heavenly union planet were shocked. Ning Cheng, who was an early-stage primordial chaos cultivator, had broken the 4 Void Brothers' space condensation mystic art with a punch. Moreover, he had also killed one of them with a punch. I believe that City Lord E will not stop you if you want to enter the Heavenly Union planet. Why did you attack the Heavenly Union planet's planet protecting array? Ning Cheng's gaze swept across the group of people as he spoke in a cold tone. A Tao integration man in a yellow robe walked up. He first cupped his fists at Ning Cheng and then cupped his fists at Esau before saying, "We saw the Heavenly Union planet's yellow light soaring into the sky and the Tao rune whirlpool, so we wanted to come and see what was going on." Ning Cheng did not even explain and said directly to everyone, "If you want to go to the Heavenly Union planet, you can. However, if anyone dares to attack the Heavenly Union planet's defense array again, I will not hesitate to kill them." Ning Cheng's words were filled with killing intent. Apart from a few Dao integration sacred emperors who frowned slightly, the rest remained silent. Ning Cheng had just broken through the space-related innate techniques of the Void Four elder brothers and killed one of them with a single punch. Everyone had seen it clearly. No one would want to offend an expert like Ning Cheng if it was not necessary. ESA had opened the Heavenly Union Planet's planet-protecting array mainly to prevent a large number of experts from indiscriminately rushing into the Heavenly Union Planet and besieging the Heavenly Union Planet mountain, which would affect Ning Cheng's reclusive cultivation. Now that Ning Cheng had come out of seclusion, he opened the planet-protecting array without hesitation and said in a flat tone, "Brother Ning's words are my words. If you want to go to the Heavenly Union Planet, you can. However, if you attack my Heavenly Union Planet's planet-protecting array, I, Esau, will definitely hunt you down. There are only 3 Void Brothers left, and these 3 people will be wanted by my Heavenly Union Planet." Seeing Esau really open the Heavenly Union Planet's planet-protecting array, everyone froze. But soon, everyone reacted and cupped their fists towards Esau before rushing into the Heavenly Union Planet. Ning Cheng didn't bother to explain at all. He believed that these people would quickly figure out what was going on after rushing into the Heavenly Union Planet. "Brother Ning, did these people disturb you when they attacked the Heavenly Union Planet?" Esau asked apologetically. Ning Cheng smiled. "No, I still have to go into seclusion for a while. After this period of seclusion ends, I plan to ask you for some advice. City Master Yi, you can go back first. My 2 companion beasts are here. I'll deal with them." Esau also saw Chasing Bull and a few exploding golden wasps coming over and guessed that they were Ning Cheng's companion beasts. After greeting Ning Cheng, he quickly rushed into the Heavenly Union Planet. The experts who rushed into the Heavenly Union Star Mountains didn't know what was going on. Therefore, he couldn't let these people rush into the Heavenly Union Star Mountains. "Master, my cultivation is too far away from yours." When Master unleashed his might, I still fell behind. Chasing Bull came up and spoke with a flattering tone. Ning Cheng ignored Chasing Bull and turned to the exploding golden wasp king and said, "Once you enter the void from here, you can only rely on yourself. In case of an emergency, you can send me a message through the Life Origin Call." The Life Origin Call was a call that consumed the essence, blood, and soul of a companion beast. It could only be used to call the owner of the companion beast. However, after this call, the companion beast would fall into a state of weakness. Ning Cheng and the exploding golden wasp king had a master-servant relationship. Therefore, the exploding golden wasp king could naturally find Ning Cheng through the Life Origin Call. "Yes, Master, I'm leaving." After the exploding golden wasp king sent a message to Ning Cheng, it rushed into the void with a few exploding golden wasps and quickly disappeared. "Master, are we leaving too?" Chasing Bull looked at the exploding golden wasps disappearing into the void with envy and asked in a weak voice. It liked lively places the most, but it was most afraid of staying in the mysterious yellow bead. Ning Cheng waved at the old fogey in the distance, and the old fogey hurriedly ran over and called out, "Senior." Ning Cheng patted Chasing Bull and said to the old fogey, "This is my companion beast. I still have some things to take care of in seclusion. My companion beast likes lively places. Take it to the Heavenly Union Star City." The old fogey quickly patted his chest and said, "Leave it to me." When Chasing Bull heard that Ning Cheng wanted it to wander around the streets, it became even more excited and started flattering him. The previous envious thoughts of the exploding golden wasp king had long since been thrown out of the 9 heavens. So what if the exploding golden wasps were free? Didn't they still have to wander around in the void? Compared to it, it would have to go to the bustling streets to eat and drink. As Ning Cheng guessed, the many powerhouses who came to the Heavenly Union Star City quickly figured out what was going on. It turned out that the soaring yellow light was caused by a powerhouse who had climbed to the 12th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda. It wasn't a weapon at all. No one did not know what kind of place the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda was. It was normal for a powerhouse who could climb to the 12th floor to cause such a commotion. However, this was just an interlude. Esau issued an arrest warrant for the remaining 3 of the Void Four brothers. while Ning Cheng returned to the Heavenly Union Star Mountains to go into seclusion. Although he said that he wanted to go into seclusion, only Ning Cheng knew that he wanted to refine the spirit-transforming spear. The main materials for refining the spirit-transforming spear were twilight sand, 5-element spirit water, and heaven-opening iron essence. Now that he had all three materials, and the celestial river flame had also advanced to the sacred flame, it fully met the conditions for refining the spirit-transforming spear. If Ning Cheng still had any worries, it was that his artifact crafting level was too low and he couldn't refine a peerless weapon like the spirit-transforming spear. As for the 5-element spirit water, Ning Cheng didn't care at all. Even without the 5-element spirit water, he intended to use the heaven-opening iron essence to refine the spear. This time, Ning Cheng did not refine the spirit-transforming spear in the mysterious yellow bead, but directly refined it in the Heavenly Union Star Mountain's immortal cave. Although the mysterious yellow bead's level was high, it had just formed, and its vitality was still growing. Moreover, there was not a large number of living beings living in it. Ning Cheng feared that it would affect the spirituality of the spirit-transforming spear. Before refining the spirit-transforming spear, Ning Cheng spent a lot of time arranging a spiritual gathering array and a top-grade defensive array. After everything was ready, he took out the twilight sand, heaven-opening iron essence, and 5-element spirit water. One could say that since learning artifact crafting, Ning Cheng had never refined a weapon so seriously. This time, Ning Cheng chose not to use an artifact crafting furnace. The celestial river flame had advanced to the sacred flame and gained spirituality. Without an artifact crafting furnace, it could display the freedom of the flame. As soon as Ning Cheng brought out the heaven-opening iron essence and sent it into the celestial river flame, the celestial river flame immediately sucked in the endless spirit chi. Even with the obstruction array formation, a huge spirit chi vortex still formed outside the Heavenly Union Star Mountains. Unlike before, no one went to the Heavenly Union Star Mountains this time. Everyone knew that the powerhouse who climbed to the 12th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda was currently in secluded cultivation. If the first time affected the seclusion of such a powerhouse, then it could be said that no one knew about it. But if the second time affected the seclusion of such a powerhouse, then perhaps the Heavenly Union Star would turn into a river of blood. Chapter 12:01. The celestial river flames slowly melted the profound sky iron mother, the twilight sand, the 5 elements divine water. Ning Cheng sent a mysterious and esoteric formula into the melted materials, causing the embryo to slowly take shape. Ning Cheng, at the beginning, was consciously trying to control the speed of the embryo's formation, but towards the end, he was completely immersed in the epiphany of the crafting artifacts. Whether it was the technique he sent out or the changes in the control embryo, they were all completely integrated with the surrounding space and environment. As the aura of Taoist rhymes entered and the array foundations were carved, the artifact embryo kept changing. At first, it only absorbed the Tao charm aura that Ning Cheng sent into it. But now, it continuously absorbed the Tao charm laws of heaven and earth. The chaotic presence from the melting of the heaven-splitting essence was gradually covered up by the water, and the artifact embryo became more and more ordinary. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. Aside from the divine spiritual chi whirlpool that was continuously sucking away the Heavenly Alliance's star mountain, there were no other movements. At this time, Ning Cheng didn't make any other movements apart from forming mysterious artifact crafting methods with both hands and sending out various Tao charm. The celestial river flame and Ning Cheng shared a telepathic connection, and under the complete control of Ning Cheng's mind, it constantly changed the shape of the spear embryo. Another half a year flashed by, and Ning Cheng's complicated hand gestures suddenly changed, changing into a storm-like speed. The long spear embryo in Ning Cheng's hand also buzzed and vibrated. However, Ning Cheng suddenly opened his eyes. At this moment, the hand seals he inserted into the good fortune divine spear grew even faster. Everyone in the Heavenly Union Star City discovered that even more terrifyingly dense God's spiritual energy and various laws of heaven and earth were flocking towards the Heavenly Union Star Mountain. Apart from that, streams of killing aura gathered and rushed into the divine spiritual energy whirlpool outside the Heavenly Alliance Star Mountain. Now, all the cultivators in the Heavenly Union Star City knew that the movements in the Heavenly Union Star Mountain were caused by a powerhouse's cultivation. Because of this, no one dared to approach the Heavenly Alliance's Star Mountain. It was one thing for his cultivation to cause such a huge commotion that lasted for a year, but now, he even had to absorb the killing aura. Just how powerful a cultivation technique did he have to cultivate to be able to achieve this? Many cultivators even deliberately flew into the void to observe the movements of the Heavenly Alliance's Star Mountain. In the City Lord Mansion, Esau rubbed his hair with a bitter smile. Ning Cheng's cultivation had caused too much of a commotion. Previously, he had created a sky-piercing yellow light, and now, he had created a terrifying spiritual chi whirlpool. But now, he even had to absorb the Tao runes, laws, and killing aura. Just what kind of cultivation method did he cultivate? Even the creation cultivation technique of the 8 great cultivation techniques could not compare to this, right? Just when everyone marveled at Ning Cheng's powerful cultivation method, an extremely weak and decaying aura suddenly descended. This weak aura fell towards the Heavenly Alliance's Star Mountain. Not good, Brother Ning is about to cross the Deva's blight. Esau immediately noticed it and quickly rushed out of the City Master's mansion. In the Heavenly Alliance's Star City, many people were stunned when they saw the weakening aura descending frantically. This was simply a little too ridiculous. No matter how powerful a cultivation technique was, it shouldn't be to the extent of causing immortal decay during cultivation. There were too many sage emperors in the Heavenly Alliance Star City who had experienced the first Heaven's Blight. But no one's Deva's Blight was so terrifying that it could actually form a vortex and descend. Just how strong did one have to be to not completely decline? Ning Cheng stood up in shock and stared at the creation divine spear suspended above his head. This spear, including the spearhead, was only 2 meters long. The body of the spear was light cyan, and the spearhead looked extremely ordinary. The only thing special about it was the Tao runes condensed in the middle of the spearhead. But what shocked Ning Cheng was that the creation divine spear he had just refined was actually crossing a tribulation. No, it wasn't crossing a tribulation, but it was crossing a decay. As the decaying aura of the Deva's blight descended, the creation divine spear started to crazily absorb it. What was going on? If he hadn't heard about the Deva's 5 decays, he wouldn't have known what was going on. Every time the Tao runes of decay seeped into the creation divine spear, the creation divine spear would grow dimmer. Although the creation divine spear's aura did not weaken, Ning Cheng still frowned. The aura did not weaken, which meant that the creation divine spear's grade did not decrease. But this grade made Ning Cheng feel that something was wrong. After a few days, the creation divine spear's absorption of the decaying aura finally stopped. An ordinary long spear fell into Ning Cheng's hand, and Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness immediately penetrated into the long spear. In just a few breaths, Ning Cheng's expression turned ugly. The creation divine spear in his hand was just a low-rank spirit artifact, or rather, barely a low-rank spirit artifact. He had spent a lot of energy, used so many treasures, and even delayed the completion of the mysterious yellow bead. Yet what he refined was just a low-rank spirit artifact. At this moment, Ning Cheng felt that there was nothing more ridiculous than this in the world. According to his original thoughts, even if the creation divine spear could not surpass the top-grade spirit artifact, it should at least be a top-grade spirit artifact. But now, not to mention the creation divine spear being a top-grade spirit artifact, if it was just a little bit weaker, it might not even be a low-rank spirit artifact. Moreover, the creation divine spear's absorption of the decaying aura had not affected the creation divine spear's grade. Otherwise, the creation divine spear would have truly fallen to a low-rank weapon. Ning Cheng shook his head. It seems that he would have to rely on the void cold light spear in the future. He grabbed the creation divine spear and was about to throw it into the mysterious yellow bead when he sensed a faint fluctuation. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness immediately penetrated into the long spear, and he was shocked to find that the creation divine spear was absorbing the laws and killing power of heaven and earth. Was this a treasure that could evolve on its own? Otherwise, why would it absorb the killing power and laws after it formed a weapon? After a few breaths, Ning Cheng confirmed that his guess was correct. The creation divine spear was indeed a treasure that could evolve on its own. The creation divine spear was not only absorbing the laws of heaven and earth, but also the various killing power and aura. It was also slowly absorbing the spirit qi. Ning Cheng felt overjoyed. No wonder it could cross the decaying aura. It turned out to be like this. From the looks of it, he could not use the creation divine spear for now. As long as he put the creation divine spear into the mysterious yellow bead, he could then take it out and use it after it evolved to a higher level. Ning Cheng put the creation divine spear into the mysterious yellow bead and felt very satisfied. Although the creation divine spear did not reach the level he expected, it was much more pleasing than he expected. But in just a few breaths, Ning Cheng once again took out the creation divine spear. He felt even more puzzled to find that after the creation divine spear entered the mysterious yellow bead, it really became like an ordinary weapon and could no longer absorb the laws and killing power. What was going on? Ning Cheng grabbed the creation divine spear and once again let his spiritual consciousness seep into it. Sure enough, outside the mysterious yellow bead, the creation divine spear could absorb all kinds of laws and killing power. Moreover, there was an extremely decaying aura lingering around the creation divine spear. Ning Cheng knew that this decaying aura was formed when the creation divine spear crossed the decaying aura. The creation divine spear could not grow on its own inside the mysterious yellow bead, which made Ning Cheng feel very depressed. He took out a ring and put the creation divine spear into it. This time, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness followed the creation divine spear. After a while, Ning Cheng found that the creation divine spear could absorb the laws and killing power inside the ring. It was just that the speed was more than 100 times slower than the outside world. Moreover, the aura became even thinner after passing through the ring's restrictions. He refined a long spear, but he could not put it into the ring. Ning Cheng's expression turned even more depressed. He had already guessed a few things. He had perfected the mysterious yellow bead, and life force had just begun to emerge. It was impossible for it to have the endless aura outside. Although it had killing power, it didn't have the kind of bloody killing power. As for the various human auras, the mysterious yellow bead was even more blank. Ning Cheng went into seclusion to refine artifacts for a year, while Esau worried about Ning Cheng for a year. He was afraid that some blind guy would rush into the heavenly Union Star Mountain without asking anything and cause Ning Cheng's Tao charm fluctuations. Fortunately, after a year, the place where Ning Cheng went into seclusion finally quieted down. The vortex of killing power that had been crazily absorbing the laws disappeared completely. But before Esau could breathe a sigh of relief, something even more worrying happened. Ning Cheng actually began to cross the decaying aura at this time. With Ning Cheng's cultivation, he would most likely cross the first Deva's blight, the primordial blight. He knew Ning Cheng's strength very well. One of the main reasons why so many people did not dare to enter the Heavenly Union Star was because of Ning Cheng's reputation. Ning Cheng had long been famous in the Heavenly Union Star. He was a powerhouse who had climbed to the 12th floor of the Heavenly Union Tao Pagoda. His cultivation had also created a vortex of movement, which made people feel flustered. Now that Ning Cheng had started to cross the decaying aura, who knew if someone would take the opportunity to attack Ning Cheng? Esau worried for a few days and was thinking about what to do when the aura of Deva's blight that Ning Cheng had absorbed disappeared. Before he could look for Ning Cheng landed outside the city master's mansion. "Brother Ning." Esau ran out and looked at Ning Cheng standing outside the city master's mansion. What puzzled him was the long spear Ning Cheng was carrying on his back. Esau had seen Ning Cheng's long spear artifact before. It was the Void Cold Light spear with a slightly damaged spearhead. But the long spear Ning Cheng was carrying now was definitely not the Void Cold Light spear, but an ordinary long spear. In his eyes, this long spear was at most a low-rank spirit artifact. Ningcheng also felt very embarrassed. Not only did he carry a long spear, but he also carried an unremarkable low-rank spirit artifact on his back. In order to upgrade his long spear to a top-rank spirit artifact as soon as possible, Ningcheng didn't want to put the long spear into the mysterious yellow bead. Moreover, Ningcheng vaguely felt that his long spear had absorbed the laws and killing power of heaven and earth to upgrade to a top-rank spirit artifact, which meant that it was much stronger than a top-rank spirit artifact refined by him. I just refined it. It's the best weapon I've ever refined. It has a commemorative meaning, so I carried it on my back. Ningcheng smiled and found an excuse to explain. Esau felt relieved. Not everyone could refine spirit artifacts. Since Ningcheng could refine a spirit artifact, it showed that Ningcheng's artifact crafting level was quite good. "Brother Ning, please come in." Esau didn't continue to ask about the good fortune divine spear. What he wanted to know most was what that powerful decaying aura was when Ningcheng went into seclusion. Before seeing Ningcheng, he thought that Ningcheng was crossing the decaying aura. Now that he saw Ningcheng, he felt sure that Ningcheng wasn't crossing the decaying aura. Chapter 1202. Thank you, Brother E, for lending me a place to cultivate in seclusion. I've gained a lot. Ningcheng expressed his gratitude as soon as the two of them sat down. Ningcheng had gained a lot after perfecting the mysterious yellow bead and refining the creation divine spear. Esau quickly waved his hand and said, "Compared to Brother Ning's great kindness, these things are not worth mentioning at all. I thought Brother Ning would have to cultivate in seclusion for a while, but I didn't expect you to come out so soon. Is it because of the Deva decay?" Ningcheng hesitated for a while and finally decided to tell Esau about the creation divine spear's tribulation transcendence. Esau was a person worth befriending, so there was no need to hide it. "Brother E, I'm not the one who transcended the decay. It's the spear on my back," Ningcheng said as he patted the creation divine spear on his back. Esau stared at the creation divine spear on Ningcheng's back with wide eyes. This was the first time he had heard of a low-grade divine weapon that could transcend the decay. He had never heard of a Dharma treasure that could transcend the decay, let alone a low-grade divine weapon. After a while, Esau heaved a sigh of relief and said cautiously, "Brother Ning, although I don't know what's so strange about the spear you refined, a Dharma treasure that can transcend the decay is definitely not weaker than a Khanate Dharma treasure. Try not to tell others about this Dharma treasure. Even if Brother Ning has extraordinary means, there are countless experts in the endless void." Ningcheng said gratefully, "Thank you for reminding me, Brother E. I believe you're a worthy friend, which is why I told you. In addition to bidding farewell to you, I also came here to inquire about the location of heavens beyond." Esau's tone became solemn. "Brother Ning, if it's not particularly important, I suggest you don't go there." Esau's words made sense. Ningcheng had caused such a big commotion during his cultivation. Although he was safe and sound on the Heavenly Union planet, it did not mean that he would be safe in heavens beyond. Esau also knew that Ningcheng had a Dharma treasure, the 9-Dao sky-suppressing pagoda. Besides, Esau did not recognize Ningcheng's spear that could transcend the decay, but it did not mean that no one in heavens beyond knew about it. Ningcheng asked in confusion, "Brother E, I heard that there are no experts in heavens beyond and there are very few Dao integration sacred emperors. Why can't I go there?" Ningcheng had asked Shao Qiandong about the fact that there were no experts in the beyond of heaven and earth. To be exact, Shao Qiandong had accidentally revealed this. While the two of them were talking, Shao Qiandong mentioned the beyond of heaven and earth unintentionally. He also mentioned that the beyond of heaven and earth had a lot of resources but very few powerhouses. Even Dao integration holy emperors rarely went there. Previously, Ningcheng had thought that this was an unintentional conversation. Now that he knew the location of the beyond of heaven and earth, he naturally knew that Shao Qiandong had said this intentionally. The reason was very simple. It was indirectly telling him that heavens beyond was very safe. The location where Tao Lord Taichu Li Jianqing had asked him to set up the teleportation array was most likely the beyond of heaven and earth. He had told Ning Cheng in advance that there were no experts in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth to dispel his concerns. There are very few experts in the beyond of heaven and earth? Isa looked at Ning Cheng in a daze and asked. Before Ning Cheng could answer, he self-deprecatingly explained, "Indeed, 99% of the people think that there are very few experts in heavens beyond." Upon hearing this, Ning Cheng knew that the beyond of heaven and earth was not simple. He hurriedly asked, "Why do you say that?" Isa sighed. "If I hadn't reached the perfected Tao integration realm and even touched the edge of the creation realm, perhaps I wouldn't have known the importance of the beyond of heaven and earth. The beyond of heaven and earth is a place where many planes intersect. It's bustling and lively, and there are indeed very few experts there. It's rare to even see a Tao integration holy emperor. It can be said that on the surface, the beyond of heaven and earth might not necessarily have as many true experts as the heavenly union planet." "Did you meet a top-notch Tao integration expert, Brother Yi?" Ning Cheng asked in confusion. Isa looked up at the void in the distance. "I reckon that I didn't see a Tao integration expert but a true third-step almighty. I saw two experts fighting in the void. I reckon that the two of them had a rift in the beyond of heaven and earth, so they arranged to fight in the void. I happened to be watching the battle from the sidelines. That kind of valiant power almost tore the void apart. At that time, I was already at the perfected Tao integration realm and nothing happened to my cultivation partner, Shu Rui. It can be said that my strength was at its peak. Given my strength, I was watching from afar and my mind was still unstable from the aftermath of the battle. That majestic starry sky was so powerful that I still remember it clearly. I'm afraid it's not something a second-step Tao validation holy emperor can do." "Third-step Tao validation? Creation realm? They didn't notice you watching from the sidelines?" Ning Cheng exclaimed in surprise. Isa said in a somewhat lonely tone, "I'm sure they saw me watching from the sidelines, but they probably didn't take me seriously. After the two of them fought and left, I hurriedly went to the beyond of heaven and earth. I went there to find treasures of heaven and earth to help my cultivation partner, Shu Rui, attain primordial chaos." The beyond of heaven and earth attracts countless people because there are all kinds of treasures of heaven and earth there. I stayed in the beyond of heaven and earth to participate in all kinds of auctions. By chance, I saw one of the two experts who were fighting back then. "Brother Ning, do you know what he was doing?" Even Ning Cheng could not help but ask, "What was he doing?" Isa said with a trace of lingering fear, "He was setting up a stall outside an inconspicuous market. I almost thought I was seeing things." Later on, that expert smiled at me with a meaningful smile. I hurriedly bought a lot of things from his stall and left in a hurry without even returning the price. At this point, Isa sighed and said, "I originally thought that my strength was considered powerful in the beyond of heaven and earth. Even if someone was more powerful than me, they wouldn't be able to suppress me. After that incident, I realized that the beyond of heaven and earth is definitely not that simple. In order to obtain materials for Shu Rui's advancement, I had to stay in the beyond of heaven and earth for 1,000 years. During these thousands of years, I learned something more obscure. There are many top-notch experts living in seclusion in the beyond of heaven and earth. The purpose of these experts might be for the safety of their respective planes or for something else. They never openly declare their strength in the beyond of heaven and earth. Even if the major forces of the beyond of heaven and earth fought, they never intervened." Ning Cheng gasped. There were so many experts hiding in the dark in the beyond of heaven and earth. Li Jianqing was simply courting death if he wanted to set up a teleportation array in the beyond of heaven and earth. How could there be no experts hiding in such an important place like the beyond of heaven and earth? If Li Jianqing was setting up a teleportation array somewhere else, he would help. If it was really the beyond of heaven and earth, he could not blame him for not helping. Ning Cheng did not feel guilty at all for not helping Li Jianqing set up a teleportation array in the beyond of heaven and earth. Back then, Xiao Qiandong had been caught between a rock and a hard place. If Qin Lan had not suddenly appeared, he would definitely have suffered a great loss under Ao Beijiang's hands. Obviously, Li Jianqing was not sincere in cooperating with him. In other words, he just wanted him to help set up a teleportation array. Thank you, Brother Yi, but I still have to go to the beyond of heaven and earth. I'll be more careful then, Ningqing said gratefully. Jiang Man and Mu Yueping had specially rushed to the beyond of heaven and earth for the sake of the breathing soil. Not to mention that Jiang Man and his wife were friends. Even if they had no relationship, Ningqing would still go to the beyond of heaven and earth for this reason. Yi Sa clearly understood Ningqing's character. After listening to Ningqing's words, he no longer tried to persuade him. Instead, he took out 2 jade slips and handed them to Ningqing while saying, "Brother Ning, I've already engraved these. One is the 2 routes to the beyond of heaven and earth, and the other is to the 5 realms void city." Ningqing hurriedly took the jade slip and asked, "Which is closer to the beyond of heaven and earth or the 5 realms void city?" Ningqing did not doubt that Yi Sa knew that he needed the void route to the 5 realms. Since the old fart knew about this, it was not surprising that Yi Sa knew about it as well. Yi Sa had obviously studied the distance between these 2 places. As soon as Ningqing asked, he answered, "The beyond of heaven and earth and the 5 realms void city are very far from the heavenly union planet. In comparison, the beyond of heaven and earth is much closer. It's almost a quarter of the distance to the 5 realms void city. If Brother Ning wants to go to the beyond of heaven and earth and the 5 realms void city, I suggest you go to the beyond of heaven and earth first. It's not because it's closer, but because after you go to the beyond of heaven and earth, you can take the teleportation array to the Jade River planet in the Void City at the edge of the beyond of heaven and earth. When you arrive at the Jade River planet, there are teleportation arrays to the various Void Cities. This way, it's more convenient to go back to the 5 realms Void City than to the 5 realms Void City directly from here. I've written these routes in the Jade Slip." Ningqing had initially been hesitant about whether he should go back or go to the beyond of heaven and earth first. Now that Yi Sa had said that it would be more convenient to go back to the 5 realms Void City, Ningqing decided to go there first. 3 days later, Ningqing and Yi Sa bade farewell and left the heavenly union planet. The old fart was afraid of death, so he followed Ningqing when he left the heavenly union planet. On the other hand, Chasing Bull and the old fart were very close. The 2 of them had been wandering around the heavenly union star city for a year, but they still looked as if they regretted not meeting each other earlier. This made Ningqing very speechless. That Yi Sa is really useless. The heavenly union planet is a place with a great reputation. Yi Sa can't even build a teleportation array, let alone fly away. On the starry sky wheel, the old fart muttered, "Big Brother Ping Ding is right. Apart from the large number of people, there are not many fun places in the heavenly union planet." Chasing Bull quickly echoed, "Just call me when you arrive at the Jia Tuo Void City." Ningqing ignored the old fart and Chasing Bull and went straight into the mysterious yellow bead to check the world. The Jia Tuo Void City was the closest void city to the heavenly union star city, where one could teleport to other places. "Yes, Master. I will definitely call Master as soon as possible," Chasing Bull quickly said. Chapter 1203. The endless void was too vast and boundless. Even though Ningqing's strength was at the primordial chaos realm and his spiritual consciousness could penetrate the boundary, he still had to use a teleportation array. If he wanted to travel from one place to another in the void, he had to use a teleportation array. It wasn't that he didn't want to tear the boundary and walk around. Given his current strength, he couldn't use his spiritual consciousness to directly penetrate several boundaries or even the outside world and then tear the void directly. In the vast void, the only thing that was worthless was time. Ningqing and the others constantly switched teleportation arrays and teleported from one void city to another. 2 years had passed while flying between the teleportation arrays and the void city. Moreover, the old fogey controlled the starry sky wheel, which saved a lot of time. If Chasing Bull controlled the starry sky wheel, the time would probably double. On this day, Ningqing was studying the blacksmithing Dao in the cabin of the starry sky wheel when Chasing Bull excitedly sent him a voice transmission. Master, we're about to reach heavens beyond. Although there were teleportation arrays in heavens beyond, they were rarely available to guests. More than 90% of the cultivators heading to heavens beyond had to first teleport to the nearest void city, the remote cliff void city. After arriving at the remote cliff void city, they would take a flying Dharma treasure and enter heavens beyond directly. Ning Cheng quickly put away the things in his hands and walked out of the cabin of the starry sky wheel. When the old fogey saw Ning Cheng, he quickly stepped forward and greeted him as a senior before retreating to the side. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out and saw the outline of a huge star city suspended in the void in the distance. Even with his powerful spiritual consciousness that could penetrate the boundary, he could only see the outline. Even though it was just the outline, he could feel the vast vicissitudes of life. There was no immortal charm aura, but it gave people a heavy feeling. Like the Heavenly Union Star City, Heavens Beyond was also a star city. A star city was a planet with only one city. The vague outline of Heavens Beyond was like Earth. Many star cities and void cities in the void did not have an atmosphere. Ning Cheng saw a thick atmosphere in Heavens Beyond. What surprised Ning Cheng even more was that Heavens Beyond's planet protecting array did not have one layer, but many layers. He did not know how many defense arrays were hidden in it. Not to mention that there was still a boundary separating them. Even if there was no boundary separating them, Ning Cheng did not think that he would be able to see how many layers this defensive array had. The beyond of heaven and earth was indeed different. After getting close to the beyond of heaven and earth, there were more and more flying Dharma treasures around. This place was like a general dock, and countless flying Dharma treasures from all directions were flocking there. Ning Cheng put away the starry sky wheel and landed on the void square of the outermost layer of the mysterious yellow heavens beyond heaven with the old fogey chasing bull. Ning Cheng thought that since there were so many people in heavens beyond, they would definitely have to pay divine crystals to apply for a jade card or something. After arriving there, he realized that he did not need to do anything to enter the beyond of heaven and earth. He just needed to queue up and enter in an orderly manner. Unlike most void cities, the entrance to the beyond of heaven and earth was not real. Instead, it was a void teleportation array door. When Ning Cheng saw this void transmission array entrance, he immediately understood that if he arranged this array entrance, he would not be able to arrange it so perfectly. This void transfer array gate did not require any god crystals at all. Instead, it completely absorbed the weak god spiritual energy in the void. Using Earth's technology to describe it, it was an energy-saving product. What was more powerful was that Ning Cheng could see that this teleportation array was at least an inter-realm teleportation array or even a plane teleportation array. It seemed that this was not the only teleportation array to enter the beyond of heaven and earth. Every plane should have such a void array gate. After stepping into the void array gate, his body trembled slightly before he landed on the ground again. Soon, the old fogey and chasing bull also appeared beside Ning Cheng. The three of them still landed on a square. 5 huge words with Tao runes were suspended in the air of the square, beyond of heaven and earth. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept back again, but he could not see anything outside the beyond of heaven and earth. Ning Cheng did not dare to use his spiritual consciousness to forcibly break the restriction unless he did not want to live anymore. This also made him understand why the beyond of heaven and earth used the void array gate to teleport cultivators in and out. The defense arrays in this place were layered, and it was simply too difficult to walk in or out of the beyond of heaven and earth. Not knowing if Jiang Man and his wife had reached the beyond of heaven and earth, Ning Cheng first took out his communication pearl and sent a message to Jiang Man, "Seniors, are you new here? Let's go to our Heavens Beyond hotel. The service there is definitely thoughtful and will give you a feeling of home." Before Ning Cheng and the other two could walk out of the square, an Eternal Realm cultivator appeared beside Ning Cheng and spoke in an exaggerated tone. Since the old fogey and Ning Cheng were here, it was not his turn to speak. He did not think that Ning Cheng would stop. He had been with Ning Cheng for some time and had some understanding of Ning Cheng. Given this senior's personality, most of the time, he would make his own decision to find a rest stop instead of listening to others and agreeing to it. Hotel? Why not call it a restaurant or rest stop? Ning Cheng asked in confusion. The Eternal Realm cultivator smiled apologetically and said, in the beyond of heaven and earth, a restaurant, rest stop, and a hotel all have the same meaning. These places also exist, but a hotel is more imposing. I guarantee that Senior will not be disappointed. Ning Cheng nodded. In that case, then you can take me to see your hotel. The cultivator quickly said, Senior, please come with me. In just half an incense stick worth of time, the cultivator brought Ning Cheng and the other two to a dilapidated divine herb building. Just when Ning Cheng still felt puzzled, the cultivator awkwardly pointed to an inconspicuous sign above the medicinal building and said, Our hotel is above this medicinal building. Ning Cheng did not know whether to laugh or cry as he looked at the floating words on the second floor of the medicinal building, Heavens Beyond Grand Hotel. The old fogey stared at the eternal cultivator fiercely. If Ning Cheng wasn't here, he would have taught this ant a lesson. This fellow actually dared to make fun of him, brought him to such a broken place, and even called it a hotel. Ning Cheng's gaze fell on a tall building across the street. The words Heavens Beyond Rest Stop were floating above the tall building. The Heavens Beyond Rest Stop was a real restaurant. Compared to the Heavens Beyond Hotel, it looked like an underground hotel. You're quite good at doing business. Help me find out if there are any good treasures in the beyond of heaven and earth for me. Even if it's a stone or a piece of soil, as long as it contains top-grade treasures, you can bring it to me at the Heavens Beyond Rest Stop. I will give you a satisfactory reward and reward you with a falling scar Dao pill. Take these spirit crystals as a tip for leading the way. After saying that, Ning Cheng threw a storage bag to the eternal cultivator before turning around and walking towards the Heavens Beyond Rest Stop with the old fogey and Chasing Bull. Chasing Bull didn't react and asked from the side, Master, this kid dared to trick us into coming here. What kind of business is this? The old fogey showed a smile. This kid didn't cheat us. Maybe there really is an empty room on the second floor of the medicinal building. In fact, he didn't want us to stay in the hotel on the second floor of the medicinal building, but in the Heavens Beyond Rest Stop opposite. Since he was the one who brought them here and wanted to change places, of course, they would give him some tips. What he earned was the tips. Of course, this is Senior Ning's magnanimity. If it were me, I would have slapped him to death. When the eternal cultivator brought Ning Cheng here, Ning Cheng immediately understood what he meant. He also understood that this low-level cultivator wanted to earn some spirit crystals. Not everyone was as easygoing as him and would even take out some spirit crystals as a tip for changing places. As the old fogey said, once he met someone with a bad temper, he would most likely slap them to death. Since this fellow could come up with such an idea to earn tips by leading the way, it showed that he had a very flexible mind and was also very familiar with the mysterious yellow heavens beyond. It was the right time for such a person to inquire about the breath soil. Senior, please wait. Ning Cheng turned around, but the eternal cultivator unexpectedly called out again. Ning Cheng frowned slightly. If this fellow wanted them to stay in the Heavens Beyond Grand Hotel, it would mean that he didn't know what was good for him. The old fogey's eyes narrowed as he stared at the eternal cultivator and spoke up in a cold voice. Be content with what you have. If you talk any more, this emperor will slap you to death. The eternal cultivator shivered and quickly spoke up. No, this junior doesn't want senior to stay in the Heavens Beyond Grand Hotel. It's about the top-notch treasures that senior mentioned. This junior knows a place that has them. Ning Cheng turned around and stared at the Eternal Life Realm cultivator before saying, You said you know where to find top-notch treasures? This fellow was just an eternal cultivator. Ning Cheng's previous words meant that he wanted him to inquire about it. Ning Cheng didn't expect this fellow to say that he knew about it. If this fellow still wanted to play tricks like before, Ning Cheng wouldn't mind teaching him a lesson. Under the pressure of Ning Cheng's aura, the eternal cultivator trembled again and spoke up in a trembling voice. It's not just me. Everyone in the mysterious yellow heavens beyond knows about it. Several seniors should have just arrived at the mysterious yellow heavens beyond, which is why you don't know about it. Oh, then tell me about it. Ning Cheng's tone turned warmer. The eternal cultivator sighed and quickly bowed before saying, In the myriad realm auction. There's a treasure exhibition hall in the Myriad Realm auction. There were 9 top-notch treasures and 99 second-class treasures. Every time the Myriad Realm auction holds a big auction, this exhibition hall will be opened. However, cultivators who go in to see the treasures have to pay 100,000 high-grade divine crystals. Ning Cheng thought to himself that the Myriad Realm auction really knew how to do business. Even a visit cost 100,000 divine crystals, which was equivalent to robbery. Think about it, how many cultivators came to the mysterious yellow heavens beyond every year? Most of these cultivators who came to the mysterious yellow heavens beyond would probably visit these treasures. As long as they visited the treasures, it would be equivalent to giving 100,000 divine crystals to the Myriad Realm auction. Tell me about the top-notch treasures. Ning Cheng recalled that the Great Change Realm seemed to have a Myriad Realm Chamber of Commerce. He wondered if it had anything to do with the Myriad Realm auction in the mysterious yellow heavens beyond. Yes. The Eternal Cultivator did not dare to hesitate. I haven't gone in, but I heard that there are innate dragon balls, fragments of the good fortune indestructible axe, living soil, mysterious yellow origin, realm transformation Dao fruit. Wait, you said that the Myriad Realm auction has living soil? When Ning Cheng asked, he already understood why Jiang Man could get the news about the living soil in the mysterious yellow heavens beyond. It seemed that the news was public. Obviously, the living soil in the Myriad Realm auction was the treasure of the store and would not be sold. Chapter 1204. Yes, the Myriad Realm auction does have breath soil. However, if you go in to see the treasures, you must be careful. Don't touch the restriction crystal. Someone once accidentally touched the restriction crystal when looking at the treasures. As a result, the protector powerhouses of the Myriad Realm auction killed him on the spot. The Eternal Realm Cultivator said cautiously. Ning Cheng took out a storage bag and threw it to the Eternal Realm Cultivator. He praised, "Not bad, thank you. There are some spirit crystals and a falling scar Dao pill inside. Consider it as your reward." The shop assistant was overwhelmed with happiness and quickly thanked Ning Cheng. Even if the shop assistant didn't remind him, Ning Cheng wouldn't touch the restriction crystal when he entered the Myriad Realm Auction's exhibition hall to see the treasures. The Myriad Realm Auction wouldn't be able to take out the treasures for people to see without a strong enough strength. Old fart, you and Chasing Bull go to the Heavens Beyond rest stop opposite and find a few spacious rooms. I'll go to the Myriad Realm Auction to take a look. Ning Cheng was in a hurry to go to the Myriad Realm auction. He wanted to see the breath soil and was a little worried about Jiang Man and Mu Yueping. The main reason was that Jiang Man and Mu Yueping's cultivation level was too low. According to reason, Jiang Man and Mu Yueping should have already reached Heavens Beyond. Since they were already in Heavens Beyond, the two of them wouldn't leave so quickly. If they hadn't left, why didn't they reply to his message? The Myriad Realm auction stood in the middle of the main street of Heavens Beyond and occupied a large area. The main building was even more magnificent, showing the status of the Myriad Realm auction in Heavens Beyond. Although the auction hall wasn't open yet, 2 Dao Nourishment Divine Emperors were still standing at the entrance of the Myriad Realm auction. Ning Cheng was about to go up and ask when the next treasure exhibition would be held when he suddenly heard a familiar voice transmission. "Brother Ning." Ning Cheng stopped immediately. He had already recognized the voice transmission. It was Mu Yueping. Mu Yueping was here. Why didn't she come up to see him directly? Ning Cheng didn't need to look back. His spiritual consciousness had already seen Mu Yueping's disappearing figure at the corner of the street. Ning Cheng quickly chased after her. Mu Yueping's speed was very fast, and after a few minutes, Mu Yueping finally stopped. "Senior Sister Mu, why are you here? Where's Brother Jiang?" Ning Cheng asked in surprise. Mu Yueping's face looked haggard, and her Dao charm was in disarray. A middle-stage Dao birth Holy Emperor's eyes were bloodshot, and he no longer had the demeanor he had when he stood on the Grand Essence Sea with Jiang Man. "This is not the place to talk, Elder Brother Ning, please come with me." Mu Yueping finished, once again turned around and walked away. Ning Qing had a bad feeling in his heart. Mu Yueping was acting mysteriously, while Jiang Man did not have even the slightest bit of news. It looks like something had gone wrong. Mu Yueping quickly brought Ning Qing to an extremely remote rest stop. Once they entered the room, Mu Yueping immediately activated the restriction and spoke in a sad voice. "Elder brother Ning, do you have any way to save elder brother Man?" "Brother Jiang, what's wrong?" Since Mu Yueping wanted him to save Jiang Man, then it meant that Jiang Man was not in danger. Mu Yueping tried hard to calm herself down before she slowly said, "Brother Man and I came to the beyond of heaven and earth 4 years ago. After we arrived, we found out that the breathing soil was someone else's treasure and was not sold at all. At this time, we had no way to send news back to the Grand Essence Realm. Later, Brother Man and I found all kinds of cultivation resources here. As long as we have spirit crystals, we can buy almost anything. The two of us were ready to wait for you here and use the resources here to break through to the Dao transformation realm." At this point, Mu Yueping's expression became a little excited, and her eyes filled with regret. But it didn't last long. 3 years ago, the Beyond of Heaven and Earth held a large-scale auction. One of the treasures auctioned was a top-notch great spirit power, the innate Nirvana Flame Spirit Power. This spirit power can only be cultivated by cultivators who cultivate karma cultivation methods. "Not good," Ning Qing exclaimed. If nothing had happened to Jiang Man, Ning Qing would not have such foresight. Now that Mu Yueping mentioned this spirit power, something had happened to Jiang Man. No matter how slow Ning Qing was, he could guess that something had gone wrong with Jiang Man's bid for this spirit power. More than 90% of this innate Nirvana Flame Spirit Power was a bait, and the bait was for the karma cultivation method. The person who bid for the innate Nirvana Flame Spirit Power must have a karma cultivation method. Otherwise, they wouldn't have spent such a high price to bid for this spirit power. Mu Yueping clenched her fists and said, "Because I was in seclusion at that time, I didn't participate in the auction." After Brother Man saw this spirit power, he almost took out all his assets to bid for it. But he didn't expect that this spirit power would be a death sentence. As soon as Brother Man obtained this spirit power, he felt that someone was targeting him. At that time, Brother Man also knew that he had fallen into a trap. Ning Cheng's heart sank. This was a matter from a few years ago, and he didn't even know if Jiang Man's bones were still around. Mu Yueping's voice choked with sobs. "After Brother Man knew that he had fallen into a trap, he sent me a message as soon as the auction ended. He told me how he fell into the trap and told me to crush the communication pearl immediately and move to another place to live until you came. I listened to Brother Man and moved away right away. After that, I never heard from him again. Over the years, I stayed here and wandered around the Myriad Realm auction every day, just to wait for you to come." Jiang Man was very decisive. His communication bead must have been crushed by him. Probably everything related to Mu Yueping had been destroyed by him. "What those people want is the karma cultivation method jade strip in my ring, right?" Ning Qing asked. Mu Yueping nodded. "I guess that's the case. These people are after that jade strip." Ning Qing frowned. If he could exchange the jade strip for Jiang Man, Ning Qing wouldn't hesitate to give it to others. Ning Qing knew very well that if he took out the jade strip, Jiang Man would die even faster. If it were him, he would definitely find a way to hold the other party back. He believed that after Jiang Man suffered a loss, he would also think of dragging the other party out and waiting for him to come. He just didn't know if the other party had the patience. If not, Jiang Man wouldn't have survived. "Senior Sister Mu, I've implicated you in this matter. If it weren't for the breath soil, you and Brother Jiang wouldn't have come to heavens beyond." Ning Qing felt a little guilty. Mu Yueping shook her head. "As long as we're still in the void, we'll come to heavens beyond sooner or later. Sooner or later, we'll be fooled." Ning Qing knew that Mu Yueping was right. It would be strange if a cultivator who cultivated karma cultivation methods didn't try to get their hands on a karma cultivation method divine ability. "Senior Sister Mu, don't worry. We don't have any clues now. We have to find out who released the Nirvana Flame divine ability first." Ning Qing comforted her. He was most worried that the person who released the Nirvana Flame divine ability would not leave any information in the Myriad Realm auction. Mu Yueping gradually calmed down with Ning Cheng by her side. Brother Ning, although I didn't dare to go to the Myriad Realm auction to check this information, I can guess that the person who released the Nirvana Flame Divine ability would not leave any information in the Myriad Realm auction. I can guess that even if I went to check, I wouldn't be able to find anything. Since that person wants the Nirvana Flame Divine ability, he won't leave any accurate information. But we have another way. What way? Ning Cheng asked immediately. Check the surveillance array records of the Myriad Realm auction. The Myriad Realm auction allows others to check the surveillance array records, but it costs 10 million spirit crystals to check for a year. Mu Yueping's tone was firm. Apparently, she had investigated it thoroughly. Ning Cheng heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, we'll check the year when the auction was held. Mu Yueping shook her head and said, that won't do. The Myriad Realm auction's investigation must start now. For example, if you want to check the records from 5 years ago, you have to pay 50 million spirit crystals. If we check the records from 3 years ago, we have to pay 30 million spirit crystals. Ning Cheng marveled in his heart. The Myriad Realm auction really knew how to do business. Regardless of whether it was an exhibition or this kind of investigation, it was all worth billions of dollars. One could imagine how much wealth the Myriad Realm auction had collected since its establishment. In that case, we'll check the records from 3 years ago. Let's not hesitate and leave now. Ning Cheng stood up immediately after he finished speaking. He had already delayed for 3 years, so he couldn't waste another half a minute. Even if it was about the breath soil, he had to wait until he found out Jiang Man's whereabouts. Mu Yueping was very grateful. Ning Cheng's attitude made her realize that they had not made friends. She changed the way she addressed him. Big Brother Ning, I'm afraid that the Myriad Realm auction has a Dao Integration's Sacred Emperor in charge. You have to be careful. She had also heard about Ning Cheng's strength. He was a primordial Dao Sacred Emperor with strong combat power, even stronger than ordinary primordial Chaos Sacred Emperors. Because she couldn't see through Ning Cheng's cultivation level, she felt uncertain. Ning Cheng comforted her. Senior Sister Mu, don't worry. I'll be careful. No matter how strong the Myriad Realm auction is, it can't be stronger than the Great Change Realm's Dao Court army. Besides, I don't think it's the Myriad Realm auction who attacked Brother Jiang. Ning Cheng was completely comforting Mu Yueping. He was sure that the Myriad Realm auction was far stronger than the Great Change Realm Dao Court army. There might even be a Creation Realm expert like Isa had mentioned. Otherwise, how could they create such a big situation in Heavens Beyond? Ning Cheng had still been suspicious when Isa had said that there was a third step expert hidden in Heavens Beyond. Now, he no longer had any doubts. As soon as he arrived at Heavens Beyond, he knew the importance of this place. If there were third step Dao validation experts in this void, they would definitely stay in Heavens Beyond. Mu Yueping thought that the strongest person in Heavens Beyond was a Dao Integration Sacred Emperor, but that was because she was not qualified to come into contact with experts. When Ning Cheng and Mu Yueping arrived at the entrance of the Myriad Realm auction for the second time, a Dao Nourishment Sacred Emperor guarding the door stopped Ning Cheng. Daoists, the treasure exhibition and auction of the Myriad Realm auction will be held in a month. Please come again in a month. Ning Cheng hurriedly cupped his fists and said, Daoist, we're not here today for the auction. We want to check the surveillance array formation records. Chapter 1205. Check the records of the surveillance formation? The Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor looked at Ning Cheng and Mu Yueping in confusion. Generally, those who wanted to check the records of the surveillance formation had a certain level of strength and background. Most of them checked these records to seek revenge or to find out who had obtained something. Those who were weaker would not dare to take out the divine crystals to check the records, let alone take out the divine crystals. Mu Yueping's cultivation seemed ordinary, but he couldn't see through Ning Cheng's cultivation at all. Even though he felt that Ning Cheng was young, he didn't dare to disrespect Ning Cheng. I can't do this. Please wait a moment, I'll go report. After a while, The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor came out again and said to Ning Cheng and Mu Yueping, "Please follow me." After Ning Cheng followed the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor into the auction house, his spiritual consciousness was immediately blocked. Not to mention the scene outside the auction house, even inside, he could only scan as far as his eyes could see. The Myriad Realm auction was definitely not ordinary. Ning Cheng didn't use his spiritual consciousness to scan around. If he really wanted to, with his powerful spiritual consciousness, the Myriad Realm auction's spiritual consciousness isolation restriction wouldn't be able to stop him. After passing through a few corridors, the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor brought Ning Cheng and Mu Yueping outside a red door. Before the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor could speak, a voice came from inside the room. "Come in." The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor didn't go in but said to Ning Cheng and Mu Yueping, "Please come in." "Thank you." Ning Cheng thanked him and brought Mu Yueping into the room. As soon as they stepped into the room, dense God Spirit Qi rushed towards them. A powerful suppressive force fused with this God Spirit Qi, giving them a silent threat. In the room was a bald man with some wrinkles on his face and extremely bright eyes. His gaze swept past Ning Cheng and Mu Yueping and he said calmly, "You want to check the surveillance records of the Myriad Realm auction?" Mu Yueping subconsciously took a step back when the bald man's gaze swept past her. Ning Cheng didn't react at all and replied calmly, "Yes. May I ask how I can check the surveillance records of the past 3 years?" This bald man was only at the mid-stage primordial chaos. He was still far from being able to suppress him. The bald man revealed an appreciative look. "You'll have to pay 50 million deity crystals for the examination first. Then, you'll have to pay 10 million deity crystals for each additional year." "So much?" Mu Yueping exclaimed. According to this, 3 years of investigation would be 80 million divine crystals. Previously, she had only investigated that it would cost 10 million divine crystals a year. She did not find out that it would cost 50 million divine crystals to open the door. How sinister! Ning Cheng cursed under his breath, but he didn't bargain. Instead, he took out a ring and handed it over. "This is 80 million spirit crystals. I want to check it now." The bald man offered a price of 80 million, meaning that he was waiting for Ning Cheng to bargain. In his heart, the price was already 100 million. If Ning Cheng tried to bargain, then he would take the opportunity to add another 10 million. The Infinite Circles Chamber of Commerce was a unique business. If they were willing, they could take the bait. If they weren't, they could scram. What he didn't expect was that not only did Ning Cheng not bargain, but he also gave out the spirit crystals in a straightforward manner, which made him look at Ning Cheng in a new light. "Not bad, please come with me." The bald man put away the ring and nodded to Ning Cheng and Mu Yueping. After half an incense stick worth of time, he brought Ning Cheng and Mu Yueping to a room made up of countless huge crystal balls. He then pointed to the smallest crystal ball in front of him and said, "This is the surveillance record of the last 100 years. I opened the restriction for 3 years. You can check it with your spiritual consciousness." After saying that, the bald man turned around and walked away, not caring about leaving Ning Cheng and Mu Yueping in the room with the surveillance array formation. "It's so expensive." After the bald-headed man left, Mu Yueping exclaimed in surprise, "This should be the cheapest one. I'm sure that if I had bargained at that time, that fellow would have raised the price again. I don't know where this Infinite Circles auction came from, but it really has a lot of momentum. I hope that it's not the Infinite Circles auction that wants to take action against Brother Jiang. If it's the Infinite Circles auction, then no matter how much momentum they have, don't blame me for being impolite." Ning Cheng walked to the smallest crystal ball pointed out by the bald man and put his hand on it. Mu Yueping stood next to Ning Cheng and looked at Ning Cheng's palm nervously. Looking at the records of the surveillance array formation for a year, even if one's spiritual consciousness was stronger, in Mu Yueping's opinion, it would still take at least a day or two. But what Mu Yueping didn't expect was that just an hour later, Ning Cheng took out a small crystal ball and put it on top of the crystal ball he was looking at. After a dozen breaths, Ning Cheng put down his hand and took out the small crystal ball. "I've already found it. You can also take a look at these scenes." After that, Ning Cheng waved his hand, and a scene appeared in front of him and Mu Yueping. In the scene, Jiang Man stood in the auction venue with anxiety and despair on his face. But many people walked out of the auction venue with him. This scene obviously showed the end of the auction. Mu Yueping's eyes turned red again, and she choked with sobs. Big Brother Ning, I can't tell who did this to Brother Man. I can tell, just keep watching. Ning Qing said calmly. When most of the people had left, Jiang Man slowly walked out. Mu Yueping's eyes were tightly fixed on Jiang Man's body, for fear of missing a detail. At this time, Jiang Man stopped, and his eyes suddenly fell on a thin and tall man in the distance. Mu Yueping called out in a trembling voice, "Was this the person who took away Brother Man?" Ning Cheng spoke up in a deep voice, "It should be." After Brother Jiang knew that he was being watched, he deliberately looked at this person. I'm afraid that he was waiting for me to check the surveillance records here. After Ning Cheng finished speaking, Jiang Man had already walked out of the auction venue. The thin and tall man also disappeared behind Jiang Man. I don't know if this person changed his appearance or not. Mu Yueping clenched her fists and spoke with hatred. Ning Cheng did not speak, but his eyes fell on the door of the room. Standing in the doorway of the room was the bald man who had brought him and Mu Yueping in. The bald man looked at Ning Cheng in amazement. I didn't expect you to find what you needed in just an hour. Amazing. Ning Cheng put away the crystal ball and spoke in a flat tone. I just saw this Dao friend's expression. It seems that you know the thin man in the surveillance screen. Did that person not change his appearance? The surprise on the bald man's face disappeared, and he spoke up casually, Yes, I do know him, and he did not change his appearance. Although I don't know why you are looking for this person, I suggest that you don't look for him. Because you can't afford to offend him. Ning Cheng smiled. Is the reason I can't look for him because he didn't change his appearance? The bald man smiled. You're smart. By the way, it's because he didn't change his appearance that you can't afford to offend him. No one is worth it for someone from his family to change their appearance, even if it's my myriad world auction. Only when one's strength reached a certain level would they have the confidence to speak like this. For the bald man to say such words, either the thin man's strength reached a certain level, or the power behind this thin man was extremely powerful. Ning Cheng did not refute him. Instead, he asked, Please tell me who he is. If you need divine crystals, tell me how much you need. Of course, if you don't want to say it, forget it. I believe that many people in heavens beyond know this thin man. The bald man did not care about Ning Cheng's words. Instead, he stretched out a finger. 100,000 divine crystals. Myriad World Auction does business. Even if we were friends, I'd still have to collect the divine crystals. Ning Cheng did not even bother to bargain. Instead, he took out a storage bag and threw it over. Here are 100,000 divine crystals. You can tell me now. The bald man put away the storage bag, looked at Ning Cheng, and said meaningfully, This person is called Mao Kai. He's from the Mao family of heavens beyond. As for where the Mao family is, anyone who has lived in heavens beyond for a while would know. Mu Yueping's expression changed, and she pulled Ning Cheng. Let's go first. I'll tell you something later. Ning Cheng looked at Mu Yueping and asked with a smile, Are you going to say that the Mao family has a top-notch expert who has already reached the Dao integration realm? Mu Yueping nodded and sent a voice transmission to Ning Cheng. I know about the Mao family. I heard that the Mao family head, Mao Wuyao, is already a late-stage primordial chaos expert. Late-stage primordial chaos? Ning Cheng chuckled in his heart. If the Mao family only had a late-stage primordial chaos expert, the myriad world auction would not be afraid of them. The Mao family probably had more than one Dao integration's sacred emperor. They might even have a third-step almighty who was above the Dao integration realm. Ning Cheng did not think that Esau's information was nonsense. Since the Mao family could make the myriad world auction fear them, their strength was no less than a primordial chaos sacred emperor. Perhaps, as Esau had said, the true powerful forces of heavens beyond were hidden in the dark. The bald man had a disdainful sneer on his face. Since the two of you have checked and know who you are looking for, then please. Ning Cheng did not leave. Instead, he added, Taoist, I have some business to do with the myriad world auction. The bald man nodded. What business do you have? Just tell me directly. I'll see if it's worth it to do business with you. Ning Cheng smiled slightly. I'm afraid you can't make the decision for this business. Please ask the top person in charge of the Myriad World auction to come and talk to me. Upon hearing Ning Cheng's words, the bald man's expression changed and immediately turned gloomy. Then, a boundless terrifying aura blasted towards Ning Cheng. Since Ning Cheng did not know how to appreciate favors, he decided to teach Ning Cheng a lesson. Don't think that you don't know how high the sky is and how high the earth is just because you have a few divine crystals. As the terrifying aura pressed over, Mu Yueping's face suddenly turned pale. Not waiting for Mu Yueping to feel the overwhelming pressure, Ning Cheng took a slight step forward, and the pressure from the bald-headed man disappeared without a trace. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.